Presented by Front Yard Fantasy. I'm your host, Simon. Joined as always by my wildly handsome co-host, John Luke Garofalo. Our friend Coop with us, aka Coop A. Fiasco. Welcome in, everybody, to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Bettor Sports Network. I'm your host, Simon, joined as always by my beautiful co-hosts, John Luke Garofalo and Coop A. Fiasco. What's up, boys?
What up? Good morning.
Like, I know you got a full name, Coop, but Coop A, it's your fault for having such a great to say Twitter handle. Like, Coop A. Fiasco is just,
yes.
Like, it rolls off the tongue. It's beautiful.
You know, I think about how many followers I probably lost because I have such a weird Twitter handle, but just gotta ride with it, dude. Like trying to say it on the radio, like when I go on Sirius XM with the Fantasy Alarm Show, I'm like Coop A. Fiasco, F-I-A, and then I forget how to spell fiasco. Like it's usually a big mess.
And then they're like, yeah, but what's your adult name?
It's Fiasco with a PH.
Yeah, they're just like whatever at that point. So, but you get to say it on this show, so it's all worth it.
All worth it. We got some people in the chat ready for today's show. Craig in here says, top of the morning to you.
Top of the morning to you, Craig.
Joey said Coop was in foggy London town. Foggy London town. Indeed, he was. And Tommy in the chat said, yo, 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 time for the show, boys.
Yo, 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 yo.
What's up, Tommy?
Yo, dude.
Welcome in. And Craig saying, hopefully the wedding was not a fiasco this weekend. Hopefully it was
I already see him sitting there playing with his freaking ring,
yeah,
like
super annoying.
Like a bozo.
It was super annoying. The wedding was awesome. It was a fiasco in the best kind of way. My favorite part, after the reception, I tried so hard, dude. That's the thing. You know,
I've heard it's tough. I've heard it's tough on your actual
party
day.
if you don't rip your pants.
I'll send you a tutorial.
Yeah, one of my buddies, dude, Meat Mansion, his pants were ready to explode at any moment.
Oh,
Like somebody could have caught a button. It could have been bad. But yeah. But so after the wedding, it was at this summer camp. We found the gym, and there happened to be dodgeballs in there, so we played the drunkest game of dodgeball.
You like break the chains off the door, walk in, there's just dodgeballs lined up in the center of the court.
It was pretty much exactly like that, dude. Yeah, so the sloppiest game of dodgeball. I went to bed at like 2. Some of my buddies were up to like 5 playing like made up games. Either those like games like horse where you just like throw a football and try and break a window, you know what I mean? Like,
just like two guys like Meat Mansion and some other dude named Tommy who's just out there playing at 5 a.m.
Someone's standing at the top of some bleacher steps with a ball, and the other guy's like in the bathroom. They're like, okay, now! Yeah. Like you just hear that coming from the other room.
Here's the game. We're gonna drink Bud Lights and sprint around till somebody tears their PCL, then the game's over. Like that was the game that everyone was playing last night.
Fun game.
Scott Fish in here saying, congrats on getting married on your birthday weekend, Coop. Yeah,
happy birthday, dude. Happy birthday, big
another birthday weekend for me. You know, between the wedding and my birthday and the Patriots win, let me tell you, dude, bad weekend to be a Bud Light in New England.
Watch out, Beelzebubs.
It was a bad weekend to be a Beelzebub out this way, dude. You were running for your life.
It wasn't just the Patriots winning this weekend, though. There were a ton of crazy games, a bunch of upsets. It felt like as I was going through the scores, I was like, yeah, not what I thought was going to happen, not what I thought was going to happen, not what I thought was going to happen. Oh, the Eagles won. Not what I thought was going to happen. Not like it just was. Every game had a bizarre outcome this weekend. We'll be getting into all of those. Before we do that, though, we have some news to go through. In yesterday's games, Panthers coach Steve Wilks kicked Robbie Anderson out of the game. The interim head coach kicked him out late in the third quarter after Anderson had a heated argument with position coach Joe Daly. Anderson said he had no idea why he was sent to the locker room. Coach Daly was not available for comment, but Anderson opted to talk to reporters after meeting with general manager Scott Fitterer. I wanted to be in the game. I've never had somebody yell to get out of the game, so I was honestly confused and upset by that. I should be. I don't see nobody that is a true competitor, that knows the value they bring and has a true passion for the game, that will be okay with being told not to do something or being taken out of something when they didn't do nothing wrong.
Wow.
That's what he said. What do you guys think about that?
It sounds like a child, but It makes sense. I guess
he's always been a bit of a hothead. Like he had that like incident where he got pulled over by the cops. He wasn't drinking or anything, but he said some really nasty things to the police officer about his wife. Like if you look that up, I'm not gonna say it on the show. Look up what he said though. Like this guy is definitely goes off the rails. So if I got to pick a side in this argument, probably gonna pick the side of Steve Wilkes here.
Yeah, it's probably just heat of competitor, heat of the game. Like I don't know. I'm not reading that much into it unless we see like further information on their relationship.
Yeah, I mean, but just given what we know about Robbie Anderson, my inkling is that he didn't not do nothing, as he said. So I'm guessing he did something to deserve that.
Well, I mean, and it could be as simple as he truly didn't want to come out of the game, and he does have a temper, and he did yell at the position coach. Know what I mean? Like he very easily could have just like wanted to stay in the game in a competitive game. It was probably competitive at the time, or maybe not quite at that point, but the Panthers were in it at the beginning. He's getting pissed they're losing, gets taken out, goes off the rails, and kicked out of the game. We'll see him out there next. I
understand. They're trying to call certain plays, dude. Like if you're not involved in those plays, get out of the game. You're messing up the game.
Yep. 100%. I don't think too much more will come of this. It seems like just something, some tempers rising on game day. Dale, your favorite play of the weekend, Sauce Gardner put on a celebratory cheese head, and then Alan Lazard came on over and knocked it right off. He got it from an ecstatic Jets fan in the crowd, and as he strutted off the field to the wrong tunnel, Gardner was caught from behind by Alan Lazard, who came up and knocked that cheese head right off his head.
Yeah, he did. Little booped it off his head.
Cheese Sauce Gardner getting that knocked off his head. That dude was hyped. He was having so much fun with that cheese head on. Just his strut, like when he was walking, you could tell he was like, yeah, I got the cheese. I'm the cheese now.
Yeah, baby. I got the cheese.
Yeah, that's why they call him Sauce, dude. And I forget who it was. One of the Jets players was like, he's got to earn that nickname Sauce. And I feel like at this point, especially after the cheese incident, he's earned it. He's earned it in my
100%.
We'll call you Sauce.
He's earned it.
Ahmad.
He's been playing fantastically this year.
Yeah.
I see Craig in the chat saying, I've seen the outtakes of JL when he was taken out of the fantasy football game show game. Talk about competitive. Yeah, that's why I feel like I get Robbie Anderson in this situation. Exactly. I've been there.
JL's got a bunch. He's got like 10 headsets because he just breaks his headset every time he loses in one of the games. Dude.
It's like a pile.
Headset graveyard of keyboards and headsets over there.
He's actually individually sponsored by Microsoft, and they send him a new Surface Pro once a week,
and just to launch it into the wall.
Yeah, just to smash once a week. It's a pretty good deal though.
Dude, I love that they throw those Surface tablets. That's fantastic. It's just so much fun every time.
It makes me want to throw mine. Like sometimes I see them smash it. I'm like, I don't really use that.
Yeah, you know what? I feel like that.
Like I read comic books on mine. That's all it's used for. Like I could just read comic books on my laptop and smash the hell out of that.
My favorite comment on that was when they asked Brady about the roughing the passer penalty, and his response was, "I don't throw the flags. I throw tablets."
At least he owns it, because that's such. Like, can you imagine actually living a life where you're like, you say I throw tablets and you mean it genuinely? Like no, I do. I throw tablets.
That's the thing I do. Yeah.
The league sent that's a little thing I do. Yeah. The league sent a memo out saying stop breaking the tablets.
I remember that.
Yeah.
And he said, I'm Tom Brady. What are you going to do about it? Kick me out of the league? Kick me out of the NFL? Bring it, Goodell.
Right, dude. Make a starter tablet.
Speaking of the Bucks, though, yesterday Todd Bowles said guys living off the Super Bowl are in fantasy land. He didn't mince words after his team fell to 3-3 after a 20-18 road loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers, who had dropped 4 straight prior to Sunday, led by quarterback Kenny Pickett. He said, I think guys that are living off the Super Bowl are living in a fantasy land. You've got to get your hands dirty and go to work like everybody else. We've been working hard, and we've got to work harder. Nobody's going to give us anything. Nobody's going to feel sorry. We've got to go back as coaches, as players. The time for talking is over. You either got to put up or shut up.
What are they coming back as if they're not coming back as coaches and players?
Oh, no, I think they are coming back as they have to come back as coaches and players.
What are they now?
Losers.
The shell of a coach and a shell of a player. That's why they're 3-3. They're not living up to their coach player expectations.
Yeah, going 500.
I mean, but the
A
Bucks have
disappointment.
been disappointing so far, right? Losing to the Pittsburgh Steelers, that's disappointing. They don't look like a Super Bowl contending team. Do you guys think they right the ship? Do you guys think they put the work in? They're going to look like a true like deep playoff contender come that time of the year?
I think they'll look like what they looked like last year, which is a Super Bowl contender, but I don't think that they look like the best team in the league. I don't think that they're maybe even in the top 5.
Yeah. It just really shows how important the offensive line is. You lose half your offensive line before the season even starts. This is what it looks like. So in fantasy football world, we like to think we're like, oh, they got Evans, they got Godwin. Why aren't they winning? It's like they're missing half their offense with those injuries. Tough.
Yeah, absolutely tough. That's hard to overcome. And Joe, you mentioned it yesterday. I think we're seeing it with the Bucks and the Rams this year, right? Like these are both teams that looked very similar on paper if you're looking from a fantasy perspective. Like just the fantasy pieces all look just about the same, but these are entirely different teams in large part because of their offensive lines. It's not the same units we saw last year.
Right.
Pretty rough stuff for Stafford and Brady.
Stuff.
And you don't have the most mobile of guys sitting there behind those offensive lines either to help cover up any of those issues. Brady and Stafford, I wouldn't call mobile quarterbacks.
No. Although I think didn't Matthew wait, you said Stafford? Or you said Brady? Yeah, you said Stafford too. Stafford had like 2 rushing yards yesterday.
I thought he had -3. I think he had 2 rushing attempts for -3 yards.
Oh, I'm just thinking of attempts. Okay.
But he had 2 rushing somethings. If
2 rushing somethings.
If you just take the other word away. Sounds a lot better that
like
way. -3 somethings.
I feel like Najee Harris and Joe Mixon have been doing just rushing somethings all year. Like not quite rushing. Just
they're
kind of
rushing.
Like
it's
3 yards
they're
a
on
carry.
A treadmill. Yeah.
Rushing somethings. Not quite carries, but we got Mr. Doku in the chat. Hello from New England, gents. Hello, my boy, dude. Congratulations on.
It just says England. You read it as New England.
Old England. Hello from Old England, Mr. Doku. Are you a Patriots fan? Who's your favorite team, Mr. Doku? You can jump. You can jump on the wagon, on the Bailey Zappy wagon now if you like. I mean,
no, there is room.
We'll let you
There's
on.
There's plenty of room on this train.
There's room on the Zap wagon.
Yeah, tons of seats on the Zap wagon.
Zap wagon. Yeah, so hop on. Hop on. Let's ride, dude.
Zap, zap. Zappity, zap, zap. In yesterday's game, Jordan Poyer for the Bills was not medically cleared to fly because of a rib injury. So he drove 15 hours to Kansas City and back to play in this
Dude, I respect the hell out of that.
Mm-hmm. A lot of heart.
I respect the hell out of that.
That's
Mr. Doku, the original England, OG England. Holla. And yes, Pat's fan as brother-in-law is in Boston.
You got so lucky that this dude came in and said he was from England. Mr. Doku's like, I'm from England. And you're like, hello, fellow Pats fan, also from Boston.
Boy, dude.
And he was like, nope,
I
not,
so
not from
Boston,
Boston, but I am a Pats fan.
I could feel it, dude. I could sense it. I could sense he had that swag about him this morning. He was feeling
Damian Stretch coming in the chat saying Giants can stop Philly, alluding to our thumbnail this week, which is, can anybody stop Philadelphia? I think the Giants could stop Philadelphia, maybe. Who knows, right, Simon?
Giants are second best team in football besides the Patriots.
Yeah. They just beat the Ravens. Right, Simon?
Right?
I mean, yes. Most of the things you've said about this Giants team are true. They're 5-1. They beat the Ravens. It just doesn't feel like they should be the best team, but I'm done saying they're not a good team. I'm not going to be like the worst 5-1 team ever. Because they're still 5-1. Maybe they can't stop Philly. Maybe they can. I don't know. This is one of those things
I'll take Philly in the matchup, but I'm scared.
You think so?
Spooky, right?
No.
The Giants are a little bit scary. I feel like every team on their schedule that was maybe counting it as a win when they were going through counting it up is a little bit more nervous than they were before.
Give Brian Daboll Coach of the Year right now.
Right?
Yeah.
Now.
Give it to him now. Because look at those pass catchers. Yuck.
Wandale Robinson, though. I'm sure we'll talk about him in a bit.
What else do they need? They got Wandale Robinson.
Yeah.
He played 15 snaps.
But he got a touchdown.
They were a good 15 snaps. He looked so good with those 15
Just imagine, dude, if he played a full snap share, he would have had 7 touchdowns.
Dude, it might have.
That's how stats work.
Tommy's saying they are a team Saquon, not sustainable.
It's a pretty
Probably
good
not.
team to be on, though.
Yeah, but there's a team Saquon's a good one.
Yeah, if you made me pick one player to like attach my team to, Saquon would be up there if we took quarterbacks out of the mix.
He's up there.
Nice hiccup.
Man, talking about Saquon giving me the hiccups, just getting me a little nervous, a
Are
little
you shook
excited.
up, dude?
You get nervous?
He's giving you butterflies, dude.
He's giving me butterflies in the tummy. How do you not get
Do you
butterflies
guys
watching
get
Saquon
you guys
play?
get hiccups when you get in nervous social situations?
Nope.
I don't get in nervous social situations very often. I get in get me out of here. I hate this place. But
Is that
nervous,
why
I feel like that.
You were nervous socially. You were worried socially. That's why. Yeah, you probably have hiccups then from having to change your shirt because you and Jail were wearing the same shirt.
That's 100% what did it.
I was wondering if you're gonna bring it back up.
Jail and I were wearing the same shirt. It was a humiliating way to start my morning. So I had to go and change. And Jail embarrassingly didn't change. Just gonna keep on wearing the same shirt.
Dude.
Just unoriginal.
Jail would show up to the prom wearing the same dress as another chick, and he would just be like, "Nice." Like,
yeah,
twinsies,
solid dress.
He didn't get it, dude.
It was reported that the Panthers will only trade Christian McCaffrey for an offer that includes multiple first-round picks. You guys think they're going to get that? You think they're going to get a multiple first-round pick offer for CMC?
Nope.
No, but they should. The best, whatever the top teams are, Bills, Chiefs, whoever, should do that. Because as the Rams showed us, you just trade your picks away and you win the Super Bowl, and then who cares? Because like 32 teams, only one gets to win the Super Bowl. Do whatever it takes to win the Super Bowl. So if I'm the Bills, first round picks, who cares? Have them. You know what I mean? They're going to be pick 32 because we have Josh Allen and Christian McCaffrey and Stephon Diggs now. You know what I mean? Like, who cares, right? Like, have all the picks. They're going to be bad picks anyway because we're the best team in football. So I would do it.
I'm with you. I think it makes sense. And I love that way of building a team. Like, I loved watching the Rams do it. I would love to see other teams take it because it takes some balls, right? You're going all in. You're saying, like, this is the year we're going to win, or we will be screwed in a couple years. Like, just absolutely screwed. Like, it helps out in the immediate, but it's a high risk strategy, and I want to see them do it.
I do that in my dynasty leagues. In the Fantasy Besties dynasty league, I haven't made a rookie pick since we started. And guess what? First place. Let's go.
Scott Fish, and you're saying Chiefs have extra picks from the Tyreek trade already.
Yeah.
So maybe the Chiefs make more sense than the Bills.
Maybe. Right?
Oh man, that would be fun. That would be fun. Christian McCaffrey going to the Chiefs.
Oh my
Patrick
God.
Mahomes, Christian
Maybe
McCaffrey,
too
Travis Kelce.
What jersey would he look better in? A Chiefs jersey or a Bills jersey, you think?
Bills.
I think he would look scary in a Chiefs jersey, though. Bills
Dude, Chiefs are just a little too Ronald McDonald, all right? They're not intimidating.
We're just turning this into just whichever jersey you like better.
Yeah, 100%.
There's something about the Chiefs jersey.
The question was, which would he look better in? Of course I'm answering it.
But the thing is,
it's
something about the Chiefs jersey that's like kind of scary. You know what I mean? Because they've been such a scary offense. It's like a sharp.
That to me, I think of Ronald McDonald every single time, no matter what.
Every time, no matter what.
No matter what.
So when he goes to the Vikings, you think of Grimace?
No, I don't, because I don't have Grimace on my head all the time.
What do you mean?
Grimace on the brain.
We're watching you.
Why'd they put extra eyes on there?
I don't know.
It's also not even the same purple as my other Grimace items, of which I have many now. But they picked a weird purple for this one. Just saying.
But Coop sent us pictures the other day of like an entire line of Grimaces, like a whole Grimace family, like a whole ass Grimace family. There's like Grimace lore just hanging out there.
I did not know how much. I knew, obviously we all knew about Uncle O'Grimacy, but I did not know about his brother who rules the Grimace Kingdom. I didn't know about I didn't know King Gonga, dude. I did not know about his aunts, Millie and Tilly. Like, I didn't know that they were rocking like that. So pretty deep lore. I'm gonna have to read the books, the first series.
Tommy's saying he tried to show up at your wedding dressed as Grimace, but they would not let him in. It's probably because you already had a Grimace there, right? And you couldn't have two Grimaces.
Multiple, I imagine.
Sorry, Tommy. One per crew. I was already dressed as Grimace, so I'm my only way.
Can't outshine the bride.
It's his wife in a beautiful wedding gown, and then Coop is in a full body Grimace suit, holding hands.
Me and my bride standing at the end of the dock, looking wistfully off.
She's also in a Grimace costume.
Also wearing Grimace. She was wearing an Uncle O'Grimacy. Just Grimace and Uncle O'Grimacy. Yeah, people loved it.
What is happening
grandma,
at this wedding?
My grandma definitely got the joke.
Greg in here said there will be Grimace Gang shirts for the expo next year. It has been budgeted. Thank God. That is a necessity right there. Also, Scott updating us that the future picks were late for the Chiefs, so maybe it doesn't help out there. Maybe it doesn't help. Damian in here asking, there's always been trade rumors floating around Saquon. I could see that happening because the Giants will need to pay him, and are his injuries truly behind him now? What would you do if you are the Giants? So the Giants sitting at 5-1. It seems odd to talk about trading Saquon right now, but do you guys think it's a possibility?
I don't think they're gonna do it probably this year. Starting 5-1. I think it would be a weird move for them to then reverse direction here, hit the e-brake and go ahead and go into rebuild mode. I think what they'll likely do is some sort of like hybrid rebuild mode where they keep Saquon, keep Daniel Jones, and then just try and potentially acquire draft picks or fill the holes as they go next season. But I don't think that they'll trade Saquon. I would have said, yeah, that's probably likely in the beginning of the season, because what good is a 26-year-old running back going to do? But another good point that was brought up recently is money, right? Saquon is kind of the biggest name on that team, right? Is the one that's probably bringing the most fans in through the door. So it's another reason why they might not want to trade him.
Dude, for me, like, I look at Saquon as the person, and I want that dude on my team. Like, that's the exact kind of dude I want on my team. You go and look up quotes from this guy. They're all amazing, dude. Here, I'll give you, I got to pull a few.
Just a great dude. Yeah.
Perfection is impossible, but you never stop aiming for it. Nothing is given to you. Everything is earned. You have to have that mindset that you have to work every single day, learn every single day. Like, this guy's out here just dropping.
Dude, I'm with that.
Right? Like, so with that, dude. He goes, I wanted to be one of the best running backs to ever play at Penn State. Now I want to be one of the best running backs to ever play in the NFL. Like, this dude is just dropping like motivational posters for your office. Just whenever they ask, after the game, he just sprinted for, 1,000,000 hours. And then they ask him and he drops, straight,
just straight up
homer
wisdom
on you. You know what I mean? Like, straight, like, just amazing stuff. Whether the ball's on the 99-yard line or the 1-yard line, I'm going to find a way to get it to the end zone. Beast, dude. This guy's a beast. He's
straight up homer.
In the chat, certified hog. This guy's dropping absolute hog lines every time, and he's awesome. So that's a guy I want locked up for as long as possible, dude. Just give him one of those contracts where you figure, like, they give him the Tom Brady contract or the Patrick Mahomes contract, where, like, you set it up for a really long time, and then sometimes you take money from that contract if you need it, and then in other years, if you have extra money, you kind of say, hey, take it, right? Like, you got to have those guys on your team that have, like, the flexible contracts, but you're locking them up forever. Like, Saquon's that kind of guy to me.
Yeah, you just say, I think from a less, like, quantifiable standpoint, just he's someone that you would want attached to your franchise for his career, right? Like, he's someone whose name you might want to have synonymous with your franchise. And I feel like there is value to that. We don't often think of that from a fantasy perspective, because it probably doesn't impact decision making all that much, or maybe like enough for us to predict, but it's absolutely a factor.
He's selling jerseys, Tommy, that's for sure.
Tommy near Saquon Barkley. Saquon. I don't know. I don't know if that one works. Tommy also saying certified hog. He is the new Barry Sanders. Tommy said, great guy, very talented, heart of the team. Man, I'm with you guys. I love Saquon Barkley, and if I'm the Giants, I'm doing everything to keep him.
Rhea says, I don't even want to consider it as a Giants fan. She doesn't even want to consider it. This is also congrats to the now Mr. Cooper. Yeah, you no longer Miss Cooper. You're now Mr. Cooper.
You see it? It's like $20 from the internet. I'm not responsible enough.
It's like when I
bought like a 5-pack of them.
That's the move. I've seen that move before. You get the silicone bands, and then you're
Dan
all good.
Titus at FSGA was telling us about that. I think
it's the move
for Yahoo Fantasy. If you don't know Dan, great follow.
Cool.
Oh, excuse me. Yesterday, Dolphins lost their quarterback Skylar Thompson due to injury, and then they lost the game to the Vikings. But he was physically unable to return in Sunday's 24-16 loss after he left in the first half with a thumb injury to his throwing hand. Teddy Bridgewater ended up finishing the game in place of Thompson, completing 23 of 34 passes, 329s, 2 touchdowns, but then 2 interceptions on top of that as well. Tagovailoa cleared concussion protocol Saturday and is expected to start next week against the Steelers. This Dolphins team, like after the first couple of weeks, felt like it was like the darling of the NFL, right? Like it was a team that everybody was cheering for. They looked like one of the better teams. And then injuries seem to have rocked them, not just to Tua, Teddy then getting hurt. Then they go to the third string. He gets hurt, put Teddy back in. I still think this is one of the better teams in the NFL, and I believe in Mike McDaniel down there. I'm excited to see this team with Tua back under center.
Nah, Dolphins stink.
I didn't consider that. I didn't think about it that way.
Hey, did you ever think of nah?
Nah.
Yeah, what?
Nah.
But no, the Dolphins are a good team for sure. But the one thing I don't understand about concussion protocol is that, like, so how's it work? They start the backup, but then if he gets hurt, then you're fine to play. Like, why did Teddy Bridgewater get to come into the game? Like, what's that all about? Like, if Teddy got hurt, then they would have just said Tua.
Teddy.
That's ridiculous, dude.
I think they purposely chose like Skyler over Teddy to start that game.
That's
what
nonsense.
happened.
Maybe it's like a 2 concussions cancel out type of situation. Like I'm not super familiar with the protocol, but maybe.
I think they had the one incident with Tua, and they just didn't want to be. They didn't want to have that on their shoulders if they start another guy after a concussion and he gets another concussion, it happens again. That's why I think Skylar Thompson started.
So then, in your opinion, they should have never put Teddy in. They should have had someone else step in at quarterback back there after Skylar went down.
Probably, yeah.
I don't even know who's next for them on that depth chart. I feel like the announcers weren't talking about it enough for what they usually like to do. I imagine it was no quarterback.
Yeah, you're right. Simon, you're right. But Simon's alluding to there's nothing announcers love more than an emergency quarterback, right?
They love it
talking
so
about
much.
it. Yeah,
they
really
won't stop.
We love the idea of it until you actually see Kendall Hinton out there, and you're like, oh wait a second, this is terrible. This is just bad football. I thought this would be fun.
Or Saquon Barkley takes his third wildcat, just run play.
Yeah, he gets away with 2, and then they realize. Then they start. On the other side, then they start chatting a little bit. They're like, "Hey guys, I don't think he's gonna throw it.
I don't think he throws very well.
I'm starting to think he might not throw it. Yeah, I don't think this guy throws very well. He keeps running it every time, right? It's like with Taysom Hill, they finally figured out this week. Like they made him throw it one. I guess he did throw a touchdown the week before, but they made him throw it this week. He just didn't even throw it. He just threw it in the ground. It's like I'm supposed to be running. What the heck is this? Pass play? What is this?
No, Taysom run.
Guys, we're going to break down the rest of these games a little bit later today and then preview Monday Night Football as well. We're playing some fantasy detectives later in the show. And then our friend John and Pemba's coming on, and I got some quarterback questions to ask that man. I got some questions that I need answering from Mr. Pemba. Excited to have him on the show. You're listening to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Bettor Sports Network.
Call, chat, and enter contests in real time. It's Sports Talk 3.0 with Bettor Sports Network. Moose and Keith.
Because I never asked you this. When Noah was growing up, when did Noah first where you got a sense that this is what my son wanted to do?
I was really busy during his formative years. I didn't meet Noah until he was about 19.
Nice. So, your wife did a good job.
Yeah, you may want to talk to your wife. I would say about 13, he started showing a legitimate interest. He started getting curious about how I prepared, what it required. And then I saw a little bit of a shift, 14, 15, where he was concentrating on the on-cameras, the interaction between play-by-play and analyst, and started probably taking mental notes at that point of the performance aspect of, okay, you do all this prep, but you got to go out and deliver it. So, yeah, probably that 14, 15 range, I thought to myself, this could be something he really wants to do.
Front Yard Fantasy, weekday mornings at 7 Eastern on Bettor Sports Network.
You don't need to be right 100% of the time.
No, there was a tweet about the refs that had me kind of cracking up the other day because somebody was like, we have the technology to track the ball down to a centimeter and figure out what speed these guys are running on the field. Yet somehow we still mark the ball by
That's my favorite.
a 60-year-old dude eyeballing it, and then we run over with literal chains and measure it. It's like, you think we can probably get that figured out.
The least precise way to measure something, and then immediately following that up with a super precise way of measuring something.
Yeah, it's like we have
what I love.
satellite.
Like if you're a millimeter short of that chain that they bring out there, that they ran out it as best they could in a straight line. But if you like, first they just go here, and then they grab the chains and they run in the straightest line possible. But then if you are 1 millimeter short with that football, it doesn't count. Sorry, couldn't have been human error. You're just short.
That's exactly. And, they bring up the index card or whatever. Meanwhile, they have satellites in space tracking how fast Brandon Ayuk ran on an end around. But we can't,
and I can see that number live while he's doing it. Like I can see every player's speed on the screen live.
I love that. It's like, and not to mention that dude's trying to make the spot and the player always tosses the ball right into his face. Right? Like he's coming over to spot it. And it's like every other time the player's just like, here you go. Here's another thing to juggle.
Lunch Money with Kyle and Ray, presented by FantasyGuru.com.
Is it me, Ray, or is the only publicity that Microsoft Surface has gotten out of their whole thing on the sideline is people throwing them to the ground in anger? Like, is that just a me thing? Or the only time I hear about this device, Ray, is when somebody is chucking it on the ground, just pissed off at it. Which I get it. All of us are in that world. We love to do that. Only in the NFL, Ray, can they get away with it because these are free. There's no cost. It's part of the sponsorship. Here's 5,000 Microsoft tablets to get you through the NFL season. And these players, Ray, just slamming them down. It's like they become Dilbert on the sideline, and they're so frustrated. They're just like the only publicity this company and this product has gotten is negative.
Better Sports Network. It's sports talk done better.
Welcome back in, everyone. Good morning. This is the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Bettor Sports Network. I just got to know, how come during the break, Kyle and Ray get such sexy music? Like it's like all this rock. Then we get to Kyle and Ray and it's like, oh yeah. Like it's just sultry and smooth. Like they must have requested the extra sexy song for their break.
They got the sultry and sexy voices, dude. That's why. You guys got to be a little sexier. Jail, can you be a little sexier right now?
Ooh, yeah.
There it
How's
is,
that?
dude. All right.
How's that?
Keith, you got to hook us up. Hook us up with that sexy music now.
Take that to Matt. You get us a little sexier music.
Little
Bada boom, bada bing.
I like you had the world's biggest toothy grin while you were doing that, and I feel like there's nothing sexy than oh yeah, while you're smirking into the camera.
I asked you to be a little sexier, and Tommy said not possible for JL to be sexier.
That can be a compliment or an insult, depending on how you want to take it, JL. How are you feeling this morning? Optimistic or pessimistic?
No, man, he's reached his absolute limit. It's low, but he's reached it.
He's just a low ceiling sexy guy. High floor though. High floor.
High floor.
It's real safe.
If that floor is low.
Real safe. You're like the Adam Thielen of being sexy. It's like you're not going to go off for 120 at this point, but
I just somehow keep scoring touchdowns.
Right,
no one knows why.
You're not going to drop a 30 bomb. You know what I mean? Like you're not going to drop a careless whisper on us, but
Man, I was at this grilled cheese restaurant over the weekend, and they started playing.
Of course, you were, Simon.
George Michael randomly, and all of a sudden I was like, man. Sometimes I forget how hard George Michael slaps. Dude could sing. It made me go on a George Michael kick the rest of the day. Man, now you got it in my head again. It was not just a grilled cheese restaurant, but their specialty was grilled cheese. It was called Benji's Munch was the name of the restaurant.
I'm just sitting there munching grilled cheese. It's like freedom. I won't let you down. Just cheese all over your face, dude.
That is 100%.
Cheese dripping out his face. Now, please don't pick me up.
Popping lactate pills.
Put your tiny hand. And I'm just munching this. There's this artichoke dip just dripping down my face. It was
swinging a grilled cheese around, getting it all over everyone else in there.
Does not care.
Everyone else now. No one else stands up. Yeah, I got kicked
Sir,
out.
sir, you have to.
I don't like George Michael. And they walk
Sir,
out.
you have to leave. Yeah, get kicked out. Will you
The
please
manager
leave, sir?
did come to our table, and for some reason, it was like this moment where like it felt like the cool teacher, like the cool teacher.
Sir,
the
stop
cool
swinging
teacher
your
walking
grilled
up to the
cheese.
table, and they're like, "Hey, man, like I see you really vibing that song. Like it's a great song, isn't it? But unfortunately, we're in a restaurant, and like as much as I want to join in with you, like we gotta keep it under wraps. You
Yeah.
with me, man? Like, can we make
Dude,
that
such a
deal?"
good manager.
Like, that's
So
how I
reasonable.
felt like it was gonna come together, but he was just like, "How's the sandwich?"
I couldn't help but overhear how well you were singing George Michael, and I had to come over and say something. Like, that's how you thought that interaction was going to go down.
This complimentary garlic bread.
Oh, and Tommy in the chat said, shirtless Simon, two-fisted with grilled cheese. Yeah, honestly, that's like I feel like that's like me at my purest. Like that's me at my core is just me shirtless with a really cheesy grilled cheese in each hand. Like the kid who's got
cheese
two
all,
pickles
cheese
from
all
Little
over
Rascal.
your chest and belly.
It's mixed in with my chest hair. There's like you can see crumbles of Parmesan in my mustache.
You're just like picking it out, putting it in your mouth.
Yummy. Woo. Okay,
That was a good one, guys.
What were we
I
talking
forget what we're
about
talking
again?
about.
I
Something about
forget.
cheese.
Zero
Something about
idea.
cheese.
Something
Something about cheese and
grilled
George
cheese.
Michaels. Isn't this supposed to be a football show?
George Michaels.
Plural.
Something about that. I don't remember we were talking. Honestly, we weren't talking about football before that either.
I don't think we were talking about any.
about.
Oh, we were talking about the intro, the comeback, and sexy music.
Oh, the
sexy music. That's right. That was the next 15 minutes as we were going to talk about sexy music is what we were going to do.
Music, yeah.
So buckle up for a sexy ride with Front Yard Fantasy.
Buckle up, big
sweetheart.
boys.
It's about to get sexy over here. I think what we were supposed to be talking about was some of these games that happened this weekend. And let's start with one, an upset, not the first upset we're going to be breaking down, but not the last one. There were quite a few this weekend. The Atlanta Falcons taking down the San Francisco 49ers 28-14 in this one. Yo, I didn't see this coming. I believe I told someone to switch their pick from the Jags to the 49ers in this matchup. Luckily, that person, though, they came into our show yesterday, Coop. They switched off the Jags for their pick 'em, but they switched to the Jets over the Packers, got it right in their survivor pool and moved on. Luckily, didn't listen to me saying to pick the 49ers.
I said that, man. Me and Pemba, we were on that, right? Me and Johnny and Pemba from the Sunday show. We said Jets outright, dude. We were saying sprinkle that spread, 7-point spread, and we were saying hit the spread hard and then sprinkle a little money on that money line, dude. So, but John and Pemba, he was the one that kind of convinced me, and the more I got to thinking about it, it made a lot of sense. And then I texted him. I was like, dude, we got it, Jets. And he said, here's the response exactly. I mean, Packers are not good. So what do you guys think about that, dude? Packers,
let's call an audible, talk about this game. I don't know. That's what I asked this on Sunday. At what point do we say things like it's been 6 weeks. We have a decent sample size now. Like, at what point do we say the Packers are not a good team? Like, do you have faith that they're going to turn it around, that this is a good team that just isn't performing right now? Or is this a bad team? I don't know. I still have faith in Aaron Rodgers and the Packers to put together like a solid offensive product. We just haven't seen it yet, and I'm losing faith with each week as each week goes on. Tommy in the chat saying now is when we say they're a bad team.
Now is when we say that.
Coop, you think so? Are you ready to say they're a bad team?
I think so. With teams like this, where it's not like it's a new quarterback, right? Like, so with like Russell Wilson, at least we can say, okay, new head coach, new quarterback. There's going to be some growing pains there, right? Like, maybe they can come around and get it together. Maybe we haven't seen the best of this team yet. With a team like this, like, it's the same head coach, it's the same quarterback. I guess maybe they did lose the offensive coordinator, but LaFleur's an offensive coach anyway. So it's not like it changes much, right? It's his offense still. So with these situations, I have a hard time creating a narrative that explains how they're going to get better. Like, if you want to tell me that this team is better than it's been playing, tell me how they're going to get better. Like, I can't come up with that narrative. Whereas like I said with the Broncos, you just say like, okay, like it's a new quarterback, new coach. They gotta come together. They got to gel. I don't have a narrative for that. Do you have a narrative, JL, for how this team will get better? Besides,
I don't have a narrative.
Aaron Rodgers saying relax, right? It's like,
no, I mean, I think you're right. Like the pass catching options are what they are. The team isn't moving enough for the running game to really be a factor here. I think this is all just going to come down to can Aaron Rodgers make the magic happen? And you're right. It's hard. It's hard to see a path for that. So I'm not necessarily against you. 3-3 is probably where they belong. Maybe a slightly lower, honestly. It'll be interesting to see. I feel like the Packers do this every year where they seem like they're a better team than they are.
You might have mentioned the one thing, right? Aaron Rodgers magic. Like that's their one chance right now. Like Aaron Rodgers needs to bring back that Aaron Rodgers magic for this team to become a playoff team, because it's starting to look like the Vikings are going to win the division, which means you gotta put the pedal to the metal, get a wild card spot.
Tommy in here mentioning maybe if they lean on the running backs like the New York Giants. That is the one thing I was going to bring up. It seems like they're underutilizing Jones and Dillon, probably because of the negative game scripts they've been in a lot of these games so far. But maybe if they lean into the running game a little bit more, lean into these running backs. They have two great backs. That could be the narrative. That could be what helps change this offense into one that actually looks competent out there on the football field. I was looking it up because I was thinking the other solution is during their bye week, the whole team goes with Aaron Rodgers on an ayahuasca retreat and just changes the mindset of every single person on this team. But the problem is their bye is in week 14. So it's going to be a little bit late in the season. Like if they had a week 7 bye, if they were on bye next week, they could have all gotten on an airplane, headed down to Ecuador and done a nice ayahuasca retreat in the jungle. But instead they're just out of luck. They can't.
Enlightenment's going to have to wait.
I mean, yeah, they don't have time for that. Maybe what they should do, since, they don't have time to do the full retreat, is just kind of maybe go to find a place that specializes in grilled cheese and just get everybody over there, do a little George Michael's karaoke, a little bonding, and see if that might work. Because, I mean, Simon, look at you. You came out spry this morning. You came out ready to rock and roll. And I think that's a big part of it.
It changes it, man. It reprioritizes things for you.
Right? You wake up in the morning, you're like, you know what, dude? The clothes don't make the man, right?
The man makes the clothes.
The cheese makes the man.
Cheese makes the man.
The cheese makes the man. That's what we all know. That's the reality that these Packers have to come to, is the cheese makes the man. The man doesn't make the cheese.
Right.
Hey,
Alan,
that actually,
the only person that realized that is Alan Lazard when he smacked that cheese off the top of Sauce Gardner's head. Smacked it off. He's like, dude, the cheese. This is the cheese team. We got the cheese.
Not you, Sauce.
Sauce boy. Yeah, you're the sauce guy.
Man, Sauce has been fun to watch though, hasn't he? Since he got drafted, that's been a fun player to watch. I know we're fantasy guys.
Dude wears a chain around his neck that's a big bottle of sauce that actually has sauce in it. Of course he's fun. Of course he's going to be a fun player, right?
I mean, you could do that and be bad. I could wear that around my neck and step on a football field, and it would not be nearly as much fun as Sauce Gardner is.
I don't know. I feel like we'll have to try it at the Expo next year.
Yeah.
How many guys could wear their nickname around their neck? I'm trying to think of other ones. Hollywood. He could get a big old Hollywood sign. That would be kind of cool. But are there other ones where it would be much worse to wear your an actual physical representation?
Refrigerator Perry, wearing just a fridge around your neck, and you open it up and there's there's all diamonds in there. That would actually be sick, dude.
Or you think it's a mini fridge because it's on his neck, but you go and open it and there's actual full-size cans inside the refrigerator. It's like a dorm. It's a dorm size refrigerator, but it looks like a little necklace pendant because that man is a monster.
Just sapphire Bud Lights in there, dude. Or what's the blue? What's the blue?
High Life.
Platinum.
Oh my god.
Bud Light Platinums. Who drinks
Dude,
Bud Light?
there was a summer my brother was really in on Bud Light Platinums and we drank a lot.
It's just like Bud Light with vodka in it, dude.
I feel like that was before you turned 21 and you had very limited control over what if you were to ever do this. This is all hypothetical.
Yeah, hypothetically, this is the exact situation I was talking about. My brother got very into the Bud Light Platinums, and I had to drink a lot of them.
My brother.
You know what? We're gonna change the situation here. You are bound to your home and cannot make it to the liquor store yourself. So you give someone else cash to pick up what you need, but you have very limited say on what shows up at your house and also very limited experience on what could be at the liquor store. What shows up is Bud Light Platinums. It's Bud Light Platinums and a handle of Smirnoff or something.
Smirnoff. I was just going to say exactly
the good
that.
shit.
Yeah. It's like raspberry Smirnoff.
Raspberry Smirnoff.
Gross. Or that awful Fruit Loops vodka. Did you ever have that? It was
no.
It was
what's the brand that has all the terrible flavored vodka? Pinnacle.
Oh,
right,
dude.
They got the whip. I feel like there's one. Burnett's. Are you thinking of
Burnett's?
Burnett's
dude.
is a big one. Yeah, Burnett's is a big one.
Burn dog, bro. That's
Burn dog, burn dog, burn hog.
Yeah, you can't be drinking Burnett's, bro. Not as an adult.
I think Tommy in the chat saying, what would Simon's nickname be? I've never had like a nickname that stuck besides idiot or some other ones in middle school that I probably shouldn't say anymore. Some really mean nicknames. But I don't know. Jordan said Edward. Yeah, I have been known to go by Edward from time to time.
One, dude. That's a callback right there. That's
Who was that? Was I Edward, or did we just say Edward?
You were Edward
remember.
for some reason. I don't even remember now.
Just my alter ego. Sometimes I'm Edward. Whenever I talk about Taysom Hill, I turn into Edward. Is
we spend every morning on talking on this show for 3 hours. I recall very little of it, to be honest.
I always tell myself I'm going to, but then I just like,
you're like, yeah, we did call you Edward for a while. I'm like, did we? I have no recollection of that.
Mr. Ed Limited from Jordan Loop. He's
Ed Limited.
Eddie's $1 Million Cook-Off.
Man, the poor guy named Edward that I meet next, I am 100% going to start calling him Mr. Ed Limited. And here's Dustin. What's up, Dustin?
Dustin, what up, dog?
Good morning. Wake me up before you go, guys.
I'll do my morning. How you feeling this Monday? Pretty big win by your Bills this weekend.
I feel absolutely amazing. We went out and just beat the Chiefs. Let me just give you a reference. Coming into the season, we were looking at we could have been 3-2. We came out, beat the defending champs in LA, beat one of the best running teams in Derrick Henry, beat one of the best running quarterbacks in Lamar Jackson, and just beat the Chiefs in Kansas City. This is great. It's a great start to the season.
Super humble about it too.
Of course.
The only thing that can stop you is a dolphin. That's the only thing standing in the Bills' way.
Whoa. What about the hottest team in football, dog? What about the hottest team in football?
The Bailey Zapmaster.
I still have December 18th circled on the calendar for redemption against the Dolphins. But we're going into a bye this week to get healthy. Dawson Knox, Ed Oliver, Tre'Davious White are all going to get healthy, play better. Do you know what the Bills' record is after the bye?
1,000,000-0.
It doesn't matter.
True.
We're dominating right now. We're playing the Packers when we come back. Anybody worried about the Packers right now? Nope.
Aaron Rodgers.
I think Aaron Rodgers is pretty concerned.
Well, yeah, Aaron Rodgers. Then we still have 2 games against the Jets. We'll probably drop one of them, probably week 9 at the dumpster, at the landfill that is MetLife Stadium. We'll probably lose that one.
Mm-hmm.
Then we've got Minnesota. All right, that's a tough game. Then we still got Jacoby Brissett-led Browns. Not worried about that. Detroit Lions. Not worried about that. New England. 2 games against New England. Not worried about either of those.
You're underestimating the Zaps.
Listen, I don't care if it's mac and cheese or zap and cheese. We're gonna devour them. All right.
You're talking about. I don't know.
That's pretty good.
Why are you worried about the Browns?
Respect.
You're worried about the Browns, but you're worried about the Browns, but not the Pats. I mean, Pats just.
No, I'm not worried about the Browns or the
Packers.
Packers. We're not worried about the Browns at all. It's Jacoby Brissett. It's his last game. He's gonna go out there and be throwing interceptions left and right. He's going to the bench.
Jacoby Brissett got me negative points in the Scott Fish Bowl. I would have been better off starting Mac Jones and Jacoby Brissett this week.
I lost
got me negative
Scott
6
Fish Bowl
points
again this week.
Killing me, bro.
And then we've got Chicago Christmas Day. Not worried about that. We got Cincinnati. Then we finish the season with New England. We might only lose 2 more games this whole season.
I mean, this Bills team looks like the best team in the NFL. Like, and it's not particularly close. Like, whenever I see them out there, I'm like, this is a complete team.
We've got one weakness, and that's that dumpster fire we keep throwing out there in the slot named Isaiah McKenzie. The guy's got hands like a snake. I don't know why they try to get him involved. He's absolute trash.
Yeah.
Stop throwing him the ball. Stop rolling him out there at all. Like,
after he fumbled yesterday, he fumbled on a lateral pass. Josh Allen tossed it to him. It looked like some sort of RPO, and he tossed it to him, hit him directly in the face, and then dropped.
He was like, "Oh wait, I'm supposed to catch these." Like, he didn't realize that was a possibility.
Clearly was not prepared. He clearly was not in the right cadence or whatever. He wasn't expecting the ball to be there at that moment.
He looked so lost out there. And then that touchdown pass where all of a sudden his feet just decided to stop working and he fell down too soon and was like, "Oh, let me try to catch this." Like, Stop trying to get him the ball. Just throw Shakir out there. If we can keep him off the field, other than punt returns, I'd be more than happy. He's our only weakness right now because they're trying to get him involved, and he's just not cutting it.
Jordan Luke said balls in the face are always a surprise.
Once Jameson Crowder comes off IR, you can throw him in there. Until then, I don't know. What other options do you have?
Just had a ton of turnovers this year.
Jake Kumaro.
I mean, I think Shakir's been all right. I mean, he can play that role for McKenzie, and he's played decent in his couple, limited snaps. But McKenzie just looks so bad, and that's our one weakness because we need a third. We need that slot guy. So maybe we go out and sign someone. Maybe we make a trade. I don't know, but we got to stop throwing McKenzie out there. He's killing me.
He's only good against the Patriots, and when he plays the Patriots, he's amazing for some reason.
Yes.
They're missing some Jamison Crowder. I really do think Jamison Crowder would be a great answer here, but unfortunately out for the rest of the year, most likely with that broken ankle. But
I mean, that's why they signed Crowder, because obviously they knew that McKenzie wasn't it. So they signed Crowder in the offseason, even though he's ancient, but they signed him anyway because they're like, well, McKenzie can't do it. Now they're stuck with McKenzie. So I think they got to put Shakir in there more and get McKenzie on punt returns because he killed me. I was yelling so much yesterday. Even my son, who's 9, goes, "Is that guy that's not any good still on the field?" I said, "Yes, he is, and he shouldn't be." My son is 9. He knows 2 football players. He knows Josh Allen and Isaiah McKenzie because he knows That's how much I was yelling at my TV yesterday about it.
That's pretty awesome. Coop, if you had to pick right now, you think these Bills are winning the Super Bowl? You got to put money down on one team. Are you putting it on the Bills?
That's the team I pick, man. They're the most complete team, really.
They are the most complete team. And Josh Allen's MVP. I don't care what anybody else says. There's no way he's not winning this right now unless he gets injured.
Dustin, let me ask you a question we were talking about a little bit earlier because there's the rumors around Christian McCaffrey potentially being available, but for multiple first-round picks. Coop and I were on the side saying, if you're the Bills, if you're the Chiefs, if you're one of these dominant teams, pull a Rams, just throw whatever it takes at them. Like, throw away your future picks. Do what is necessary to win that Super Bowl. Are you of the same mindset, like as a Bills fan? How would you feel if they traded multiple first-round picks to get Christian McCaffrey onto that team?
Oh, that's tough. Multiple first-round picks is tough. I think they need to go get him simply to keep him away from Kansas City. So if it comes down to either them or Kansas City and it's, 2 first-round picks and Kansas City's going to get him, you got to go get him because you can't have him on Kansas City. Like, that's what you want. I think he makes the team better. They don't need him. The Bills don't need McCaffrey, right? Singletary has played really well. They keep throwing out James Cook, and he seems okay. I don't think he's great. But Singletary has played well. The run game's not huge. If you get McCaffrey, maybe that keeps McKenzie off the field, so I'm happy with that. 2 first-round picks, I say, yeah, go get them. Go win that Super Bowl. You'll be all right after that because you still have Diggs, Allen. You have those guys locked up for long-term. You don't need a ton of pieces. You're not super old in a lot of areas other than Von Miller, Harrison Phillips on the defense. But you can fit it in there. Maybe saves you a little bit of capital so you can sign Jordan Poyer. But yeah, go get him. You have to go get him because you can't let the Chiefs go get him.
No, I'm with you. Whenever you say they don't need Christian McCaffrey, yeah, and I don't need Popeyes for lunch, but boy, would it be great. Like, man, it would be so fantastic. Like, just as a neutral fan as well, seeing a team with Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, and CMC step out onto the field would be disgusting. Like, that would just be so much fun to watch.
Imagine that play where McKenzie fumbles, even though it got credited to Josh Allen. If that's Christian McCaffrey instead of Isaiah McKenzie there.
It's a touchdown.
Like, that's a smash touchdown. Like, there's just no way. McCaffrey catches that because he knows what's going on, unlike McKenzie, who had no clue that was even a possibility. And once he gets the ball, you've got a 230-pound quarterback blocking for you. He goes in the end zone easily, and we're up 7-0, and then we come down and stop the Chiefs and get that interception, and we roll through them. I think they have to go. This team and this city needs a Super Bowl. It's what they deserve at this point. It's what they've worked for. That team has so much heart and grit. Do you guys know that Jordan Poyer wasn't medically cleared to fly? So he decided, I'm going to get in the car and drive 15 hours to possibly play. Like, it wasn't even a guarantee he would play. He just knew that game in Arrowhead, or whatever they call it now, was such an important game that he needed to be there for the team. Now, yes, he did play, but 15 hours is not a insignificant.
I want to know what he was listening to. Like, I want to know what
Dude, I want-
podcast
He
he had.
100% was listening to the Better Sports Network, smashing that fun button the whole way.
Yeah,
right.
Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show.
I think he was in the chat down there. Yeah, we saw him in the chat, right?
Yeah, dude.
I'm going to put this out there right now. Jordan Poyer, if you need a road mate, a navigator for any other future road trips, call this guy up. I'll fly out and meet you, and we'll road trip. I'll drive. You can just relax, lay there. I'm down. Like, that's the heart. That's the heart and soul of this team. I think McDermott is up for Coach of the Year, hands down. I think Josh Allen wins MVP in a runaway. I think the Bills make it to the Super Bowl. I think they have a really good shot of winning it. I don't want to say they're going to win it because I don't want to jinx us, but I think they have a really good shot because I'm not worried about the rest of the AFC right now. If we stay healthy, we're in the Super Bowl. And if we're in the Super Bowl, I'm pushing hard to go right
pants are
now.
off.
with my life.
Dustin's pants are off if they make it. Dustin, I want to thank you so much for coming up and talking some Bills with us this Monday morning. Congrats on the big win, my man.
Hey, just FYI to all the fans out there, I messaged these guys last night and told them they had to wait for me to get on so we could talk some Bills. I appreciate it, guys. Hey,
Have a good
Coop,
one.
congratulations, by the way, buddy.
Thank you, dude. I really appreciate it, man. Hey, and good luck to your Bills, dude. I will say,
Thanks.
Thank you for popping on, Dustin. Bills fans like Dustin, there's like, even as a Patriots fan, those guys are the cream of the crop. Like, it's so hard to hate the Bills because their fans, they come here, they're respectful, they get hammered drunk, and they're just like, they're good folks.
Smash a couple tables.
Right. There's like certain fan bases that drive me nuts. You know what I mean? Like, people talk about like the Philadelphia, like where they're like squirting mustard and ketchup on people. You know what I mean? Like the Bills fans, I wish they were. Sometimes I wish that they were like all jerks so that it'd be easier to hate the Bills because now the Bills are good. But it'll be hard for me to root against the Bills. Like once the Patriots are eliminated, it's hard for me to root for them not to win. Like I'd rather see the Bills win the Super Bowl than the Chiefs.
Honestly, I was watching the Giants game this weekend and I was staring at Brian Dable and I'm like, Brian Dable looks like every single Bills fan I've ever met.
100%. He's been through.
I don't know vibes to him.
I don't know what it is. Yeah, it's just like every single Bills fan I've met is bald with a beard, except for Dustin.
I feel like Bills fans, like they make all the Midwest team fans look even worse because like the excuse for like Steelers fans and Browns fans is, man, they got that lake effect weather. It's depressing in Cleveland. It's depressing in Pittsburgh. Like the weather's sad. They've like, especially in Cleveland, they've had sad teams, sad weather. It's not nice. Well, the Bills are in Buffalo. Know what I mean? Like they've also got that lake effect weather and it's freaking colder. Like it's gray, snowy, and wet and super cold in Buffalo as well. And yet those fans are incredible. They just make, and I am a Cleveland fan, they make the Cleveland fans and the Pittsburgh fans, like they take away their excuse, right? The excuse of like, oh, weather makes us grumpy. We have to live here. It makes us grumpy because it's winter and we're living here during football season.
Yeah, they lost 4 Super Bowls in a row. So good luck trying to complain to the Bills about that kind of stuff too. You know what I mean? They had to deal with Tom Brady for 20 years. Like there's nothing you can say, but then all that while that's going on, man, they still just, keeping good spirits, being good dudes. So
if you love the Bills fans so much, you should just marry him, Coop.
Yeah, Coop.
I am going to. I will. Dustin, will you marry me? Come back on.
Tommy in here wants to know, who do you think the Bills see in the Super Bowl? So who from the other side do you think the Bills see? And then he said
probably their fans.
Bills Giants rematch. A good one, JL.
Ha 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 ha.
Maybe Eagles. That'd be interesting, right?
Eagles would be super interesting. Eagles Bills. Can you imagine? Oh, what a crazy Super Bowl that'd be.
Fans would be getting sloppy, dude.
So sloppy.
So sloppy, dude. I'm trying to think what would be the most interesting. It would be cool if it was another team that hasn't won in a long time, like the
Jaguars, Colts,
Vikings,
like the Vikings. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Vikings, Bills.
That would be a fun Super Bowl. Vikings,
Washington,
Bills.
Jaguars.
Dale, you want to see Kirk Cousins in the Super Bowl? How would you feel turning on the Super Bowl and there's Kirky boy looking at you?
That would be my worst nightmare.
Also, Craig in here letting you know, Coop, you can get an annulment and marry Dustin if you haven't consummated the marriage yet. So as long as you haven't done that, you're still good to go.
Might be all right then.
We'll let Dustin know. Oh, and then Dustin saying, Coop, I love you, but I'm not marrying a masshole Pats fan. After all the nice things you just said, he's going to come in here and say he can't marry you.
I think that's okay, dude, because we are jerks, especially me.
Every time someone says masshole, I think of Mass Effect, the game.
Yeah, I mean,
Mass hole effect. 13.
I never played that game, but since it's got mass in it, it must be awesome.
Must be.
It's got to be. Scott Fishane agreed with the Vikings. Great call. I would like to see that as well, though it would assuredly be loss number 5.
Wah,
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 wah.
wah, wah. Yeah, there's no way Kirk Cousins is ever making it to a game that big. There's just no way he'll break down before.
Well, maybe
Oh
they
my
can
God.
trick him. Maybe they can trick him each time into
This
thinking
is
it's
just
not
a normal
big game.
game in January.
They just
They
call
just
it
did,
like,
like-
hey, you want to get together, play some pickup ball? I got some friends that are going to wear different colored shirts than us. If you want to come hang out.
Different color shirts. Just so happened to have 52 other friends with different shirts.
Yeah, I invited all your friends too, and they're all going to be wearing the same shirts. Just make sure you wear your purple one, Kirk. You got to put the purple one on so that people know what team you're on.
Yeah.
We had a question from Lucius in here. He says,
Good morning,
morning
Lucius.
all. Have a team in my league struggling that has Swift and needs wins. I have Aaron Jones, who I'm concerned with. Would you swap those 2 players, or do you have injury concerns? So opposing manager has Swift, he has Aaron Jones. Would you trade Aaron Jones straight up for DeAndre Swift?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're confident in where you're at, Swift should be back this week, right? Or what's
I
the
think
time?
that
I'm
is the
looking at?
latest.
I think he should be back next week. So I mean, if you can get away with it, especially if it's full PPR, then I would do that because Aaron Jones has been kind of, and running is the luxury of the winning team, and the Packers haven't been doing much of that. So
The Lions are pretty good. If there's one thing we know about the Lions. What?
Keith,
Why? Why then?
Why then? Yeah, of all the time with a sexy. There's
Why?
the sex. There's
It
your
feels
sexy
like
music.
you just got it uploaded and then you just couldn't help yourself but to play it immediately.
Producer Keith said, "I didn't
Instead of
even mean to
waiting.
put that on." That's
Well, you know what's been happening? Keith's been watching that to himself for like the last 15 minutes, like just giggling to himself, and he accidentally
Let me
clicked.
do it mid-sentence while they're just talking about something totally random.
I love that he used Chewbacca Simon for the saxophone picture, dude. Did you guys notice that?
It was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. It was that was the face I was making while playing the saxophone. You didn't.
You
even
look
know.
actually way. You look like in that picture. You look way more. You're like you're playing the saxophone than you do like you're Chewbacca. Like I don't know why you had to get down here for the Chewbacca.
We're 100% gonna get a copyright clip for Careless Whisper. Not a doubt in my mind.
Well, no, because that whisper had some cares to it. That was a careful whisper. If you
okay.
notice,
tell
one of the
YouTube.
notes was different. Yeah, I'll let YouTube know about that. And it was little enough. We just had little clips in there. In jail, clearly we were playing that song between the two of us. It was
Clearly.
me and you who wrote that
Yeah,
song.
that's true. We were all
Yeah,
responsible.
it was a parody, of course, dude.
Yeah.
Weird Al.
Guys, coming
Like
up,
that
we're gonna,
somehow circumvents the copyright rules. It's a parody, bro.
it does.
It's just
Haven't
a
you seen the dumb Starbucks Nathan for You episode?
Yeah,
Where he creates an entire brand as like it's an art showcase, and
That's-
it's
that's-
covered under parody law. And he
that's
calls
the
it
one that
Dumb
got most out of
Starbucks.
control though, because that became like because of where it was. All the hipsters loved it, right? They were so about it. That was one of the ones that actually blew up, right? Like that.
It
one,
did. It
that
got,
one
out of control. Like
yeah.
it got completely out of control. It took on a
That
life
one
of
and
its own,
like
but
the farm zoo, the petting zoo.
the pig one, the pig
one,
where the pig
yeah.
saves a goat or something.
Yeah,
like that. I
he stages
forget
the whole thing.
I'll tell you though, Nathan Fielder and also Eric Andre, those two dudes are detrimental to society. Like those, those two dudes are like bad.
Yeah, adding absolutely.
Yeah,
nothing.
like they're amazing, but at the same time, like we'd be better off without those dudes.
Eric
Just
Andre
make it
Get them
came
on
to
the show. Get both
Eric
of them
Andre
on the
came to
show.
perform
He-
live in San Antonio, and my girlfriend and I were going, and she was like, "Oh, my friend's going to be in town. Do you mind if she comes too?" And I was like, like she can come, but like I don't know if she's gonna like it. Like we show up at the end of this show, he calls 2 people up on stage, hands them each a bottle of ranch, and has them do a ranch chugging contest on stage. The kid who wins, while his mouth still is like covered in ranch, he hands him a microphone and says freestyle, and just has this kid start freestyling on stage in the middle of the show after he chugged a bottle of ranch. Eric Andre goes off stage, re-enters butt ass naked, with everything just tucked between his legs, so you can't see anything. It's fully tucked. And he goes up behind this kid freestyling and starts like dancing on him like this. And all of a sudden the kid finally realizes it, runs off stage. This is the last bit of the show.
Runs off stage.
He gets off. Eric Andre then gets in front and he does a bow. And then the grand finale, He turns around and does another bow with everything tucked in between and gives us a full shot of the berries to end it. And then that was the last thing from Eric Andre. And I just looked at my girlfriend and her friend and was like, I'm sorry. He's
straight fruit bowled you guys.
He totally fruit bowled us is what he did. Man, and a couple of apples hanging out down there.
If people watch horror movies to be scared, and like Eric Andre's like that, except for making you feel uncomfortable, right? Like he's just going around the United States making everyone feel uncomfortable.
His movie was so good on Netflix.
Bad Trip.
I forget what it's called, but it's so good.
The one with Tiffany Haddish, is that the one you're talking about?
Tiffany Haddish. Yep.
It's like Jackass, but with plot is like the premise of it. Like they're doing like pranks all around, but it's got like an actual story element to it as well.
Like
it is
Borat
really
mixed with mixed with Jackass.
I'll have to check that out. He's also he's also in the new Jackass too, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, coming up, we're going to keep on breaking down these games from this past weekend, as well as previewing Monday Night Football. We'll be playing some fantasy detectives a little bit later as well. And then our good friend John and Pemba is going to be coming on the show. We got some quarterback questions to ask that man. You're listening to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Bettor Sports Network.
Collectible moments.
Everybody up here at U.S. Cellular. Sox 5 runs, 6 hits. The 2-1 to Bartlett. Swing, chop to short. Ramirez has it, throws. Burley picks a perfect game. His second no-hitter. People going crazy here at U.S. Cellular. He's mobbed by his teammates. A perfecto.
Now there's a steal by Murph. Underneath the DJ, lays it in. Right up, 1 second left. What a play by Murph. Murph stole the impounding pass. Laid it up to DJ. DJ laid it up at him. And Boston has a 1-point lead with 1 second left.
Out of the I formation on first down. Peterson to carry, looking for running room on the right side, has it to the 25, across the 30, across the 35, and out of bounds at the 40-yard line. Adrian Peterson has just gone over 2,000 yards for the season, the 7th man in NFL history to cross the 2,000-yard mark.
Well, a thundering ovation for number 66, Mario Lemieux.
Just the emotion I'm sure Mario is feeling in this place. You don't appreciate something until it's gone, and it's so great to have Mario back.
Yager turns around. Over to Lemieux. Mario Lemieux, his first goal in his comeback here tonight at the Mellon Arena. And the Penguins lead 3-0, and he is smiling like a butcher's dog. Mario Lemieux.
Oh, the band is out on the field. He's going to go into the end zone. The Bears have scored, but the bands are out on the field.
Pearson moves in front of the STP Dodge. Petty comes back to the inside. They almost touch as they move down low in the banking. They're going to be side by side as they exit the bank and head for the finish line.
Richard Petty goes back in front. They both spin. They're in the wall. Petty is sliding, slamming into the wall. He's coming down toward the finish line. Will he make it? Pearson is still running. The winner is car number 21. An amazing finish. Richard Petty's car demolished in the front end, as well as car number 21. An unbelievable finish, a terrible crash. David Pearson has won the Daytona 500. Leitner catches, comes down, dribbles, shoots, scores! Christian Leitner has hit the bucket at the buzzer! Pitched by Downey, swinging, there's a drive into left center field. That ball is gonna be out of here. It's gone. It's 7-15. There's a new home run champion of all time, and it's Henry Aaron.
The most valuable player is Magic Johnson. 42 points, 15 rebounds, and 7 assists. He starts at center, plays forward and guard, and leads the Los Angeles Lakers to a world championship 123-107 over Philadelphia.
Whether you collect sports memorabilia, fantasy championships, or winning bet slips, talk about it on Bettor Sports Network.
Welcome back in, everyone, to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Bettor Sports Network. And Coop, I'm being reminded of something that explains Dustin's behavior a little bit. He did already agree to marry Joey on one of our other streams. Joey did propose to him, if I remember correctly. So really, like, he said some mean words too. It was probably just so like he could show Joey later, like, hey, look, like someone was coming on to me, tried to marry me, and look, I totally refuted them. Like, didn't even stand a chance.
Just lashing out a bit, and that's okay because actually playing poll perception on your other show, I think I already said I'd marry J-Wall. So we're already kind of a pretty sticky
And you just did
predicament.
get married.
You're already a bit overcommitted, aren't you?
Yeah, yeah. I'm just throwing them out there. After this, I had so much fun this week. I'm just trying to get more weddings going.
Do it again.
Got to get more parties going.
It was the greatest party ever. You got to do it again. You got to keep it rolling.
That's what
He just keeps going up to me. Will you marry me?
Do you want to do a wedding?
We can play dodgeball.
You can plan it.
Oh my God. Whatever. That's how I'm going to propose now. Hey, you want to do a wedding? Get down on one knee and say, want to do a wedding with me?
You like to do a wedding?
That's so funny. I can't do that, but someone's got to do it. Someone do it. Someone propose.
Someone's got to do it. One of you has to
just go up and be like, wedding?
Yeah. I guess if it has to be one of the three of us, it has to be me. I'm the only one left with that going on, but we can find someone else. Let's get someone else to do that instead of me, so I don't have to be the victim in this scenario.
The victim.
Yeah.
Guys,
so if you want to come on the show and awkwardly propose to your significant other, hit that call button.
We would love that.
Oh my God, let's get a Bettor Sports Network proposal. That would be so sick. We'll hook you up with something. I don't know what. I'm promising it over ahead of time before I've pushed it with anybody, but we'll make it sick.
We'll get you a signed. We'll get you a signed DeMarco Murray jersey.
Yeah. Him and hers DeMarco Murray jersey.
DeMarco Murray jersey.
Eagles one.
It's a mashup. It's DeMarco Murray and Joe Burrow. Titans Bengals split jersey.
It's 100% a house divided. We'll get you some.
Your wife will love it.
Specifically, we need a Cowboys or Bengals fan proposing to a fan of the other team. Oh, Titans. I said
he was never even on the Bengals, by the way.
Joe Burrow was.
Joe Burrow is.
Oh, I thought you said a DeMarco Murray Bengals jersey. I'm like, what are you?
The DeMarco Murray.
There's the Joe Burrow half. We're gonna combine them. It's gonna be a best of both.
Okay, I missed that important piece. That smart piece of information there.
Yes.
DeMarco Murray.
So if you are proposing to your girlfriend or boyfriend who is a fan of the Bengals and you're a fan of the Titans, then let us know. We can make that happen. We'll make it really special.
We'll make your dreams come true.
Exactly. Yeah. Don't waste your proposal some other way. You got to use it. You got to utilize the show. So definitely hit
utilize us. That's why we're here.
Get on here. Get married. Let's go.
I've told my girlfriend I was going to propose to her at a Spurs game so often now that anytime I propose going to a Spurs game, she has like a visceral reaction to it. Like she's like genuinely afraid that if we go, that's where the proposal is going to be, is at a Spurs game. And that's like her worst nightmare. She hates basketball noises. The sneakers on the court is like her least favorite noise on planet Earth.
Basketball noises?
Yeah, March is her least favorite month because our whole house is full of squeak, 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 bounce, 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 squeak, 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 bounce, 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 squeak, squeak. Like I swear that's all she hears.
I fully understand her better now because I get it.
Swansea Sea Snakes in the chat. Who drank the most beers at Coop's wedding? So I know who that is. That's my buddy Nick, because that's the name of your fantasy team in our league.
Is it Nick? Is Nick the one that won?
The answer to that question is definitely you. So
good job. Classic.
Take that, Beelzebubs.
Yeah, he was setting the dance floor on fire, boy. Yeah, let's go, dude.
Jill, what's your go-to wedding dance?
Literally every single person who has drank the most at a wedding thinks that they're setting the dance floor on fire.
Yeah,
without
exactly.
fail at a wedding.
That's we call that being Mr. Cool, where you're just like
cool.
Mr. Cool. Skinner, you were definitely Mr. Cool in it at the wedding, dude. Skinner was out there.
Mr. Cool in it. JL, what's your go-to wedding dance move? You're on the dance floor, you get shoved into the middle of the dance circle. What dance move are you doing to then get out? Like you got to do something. You can't just walk out. You got to do a dance move before you can pull someone else in. What dance move are you doing?
I don't know. I'm probably doing something with my hands.
Who's that, like the orangutan?
I have no idea. We climbing.
I jump in there. Donkey Kong, Keith calls that one, dude.
The Tarzan.
Yeah.
I'm probably doing the classic like sprinkler very poorly, like hand on the leg. That one's a crowd pleaser. And no one judges you for doing that one poorly because there's like 3 people on planet Earth that can actually make that look good. So you're pretty good to go with that one.
It gets
that only is gonna work is if you're a child. Otherwise, it's gonna be like, oh, okay, that's a grown man.
It gets the people going.
Yeah. Or you do the classic just before you can get shoved in, start a conga line and then get out of the conga line very quickly. We were supposed to be talking some football, right? Not wedding dance moves, I believe. And we started
I don't know what
before,
the show is supposed to be.
before we started talking some Jets Packers earlier. I was talking a little bit about this Falcons game. Mariota put on a pretty good performance out of it. They didn't ask too much of him. Only threw the ball 14 times, but was near perfect, 13 for 14, 129 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Joey brought it up on our show this past Sunday night, saying he's a little bit disappointed that Mariota's playing so well because we wanted to see some Desmond Ridder. We wanted to see Desmond Ridder out there, see what this team had in him. But if Mariota keeps playing like this, I don't think we see him.
Yeah, I mean, Dio Ledbetter himself. We had the beat writer for the Falcons. We have him on the show. Great dude. I love when he comes on. But he said they are fully, because he's around the team. He said they are fully focused on the Marcus Mariota reclamation project. Like he was the one that poured the cold water on it for us in the offseason, saying, "Hey, like this is the deal. Desmond Ridder is on the back burner. He's not even close to ready." So he said, any fantasy gamers out there that were hoping for him to play, Dio said he didn't think it was going to happen at all. And if Marcus Mariota is going to come out and throw for 2 touchdowns and run for another, I don't see why they're going to beat the 49ers easily. I don't see why you would take Mariota out. There's no reason to.
And not kind of beat the 49ers, beat them by 2 touchdowns, like a pretty dominant win. They looked good the whole time too. Like this looked like a team that was in control of that game for the most part.
I mentioned it last night on our FanDuel recap stream, but ever since Dio brought that up, it's been like living rent free in my head. I just think about it all the time. Like, damn, maybe Ridder isn't the guy. Like, I just feel like the whole narrative around Ridder now has been shifted thanks to Dio because of, him coming on our show.
I mean,
once Jameis Winston gets back in there, I just feel like it's like this year's like there's like a weird time loop going on or something where now all of a sudden like Marcus Mariota and Jameis Winston are starting quarterbacks in the NFL. Like things are just going backwards.
The thing about Ridder too is that there was so much hype about him because of fantasy football and because of all that, but like he fell to the 3rd round, not even a 2nd round pick. So, I mean, as sad as it is, there are a lot of guys that get drafted in the 3rd or 4th round that literally never play. Like they just don't even get a shot at all. So like Kellen Mond, the Vikings, he was a 3rd round pick. I think the Vikings already released him. I don't even know where he is now, but it's like some of these guys just never get a chance to play at all. So who knows? But right now, I don't see why you would play.
Kellen Mond is on the Browns now
he's on the Browns.
Apparently. So he's on the Browns right now. Is where
drafted
he is.
by the Vikings ahead of Davis Mills. And then they traded up ahead of the Texans and took Kellen Mond because they thought the Texans were going to take him. And then they released him before he even finished his rookie contract. So who knows if Desmond Ridder is ever even going to be a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially if Marcus Mariota keeps playing like this. And then the Falcons probably don't have any real incentive to move him, right? A 3rd round pick. Like if he's sitting there as a backup quarterback, we may not see him on another team until this contract's up. And then even then, you're right, Coop. Some cold water from Dio Ledbetter, and it's coming true. Dio gave us the warning. On the 49ers side of the ball, Jimmy G, from a fantasy perspective, had a good enough week for you, right? Like it was fine, but he also threw 2 picks, as well as his 2 touchdowns, 296 yards, 29 for 41 throwing the ball. So he was chucking it around a little bit more than Marcus Mariota. No rushing touchdowns this week for a team that we generally think of as a pretty heavy rushing team, but Brandon Ayuk had a game, 11 targets, 8 receptions, 83 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Coop, Britt came on the show the other day and told us her hot take about Brandon Ayuk. And then what happens the very next week? A 2-touchdown Brandon Ayuk game.
That's that hot takes, man. She's got the 5 every week. You got to check it out over at Fantasy Alarm. Britt Flynn writes my 5 hot takes each week, and she's been crushing them this year. She's got hot takes in some of those articles, Geno Smith, like all these different things she's called. And a lot of times they end up being right. This one, instant payoff with the Brandon Ayuk 2 touchdowns. But from a fantasy perspective, as a fantasy fan who doesn't care if the 49ers win or not, this is exactly what I want to see. I want to see Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, 10 targets apiece every game. Don't throw it at anybody else. Like this, for me, this is a perfect game, right?
Yep.
Unless you're a Jeff Wilson guy, which I know, Simon, you're not. But for me, I just want to see like every team should just consolidate the targets to just the fantasy relevant people. It would make me very happy.
Yeah. And you know what? I'll forgive 4 targets for Kyle Juszczyk because they did such a good job distributing the other ones. Like that's fine, Kyle. You can have those 4. But I'm with you, Q. 10 targets for George Kittle. That was fun to see. You were happy if you were a George Kittle manager this week.
Love it. More.
Tight end guy. And that's with Trent Williams still out. You think this is the new norm for George Kittle? Are we going to be seeing more of this rest of the season? 10 target Kittle?
The thing is with the Trent Williams situation is he was only blocking, like he was blocking less on fewer pass plays than he usually does.
Weird.
Usually he's somewhere like 12, 15%. I mean, he was like 9 or 10%, 3, 3, 4. Those are the pass block snaps for this guy. I don't have the numbers yet because they're not out for this week, but I mean, with 10 targets, I don't care if he pass blocks on the rest of the plays.
Yeah, and that should be going down, right? With Trent Williams coming back.
Yep.
It should be going even further down. And maybe they just weren't so scared of that Atlanta pass rush. Maybe that was something they weren't as fearful for, and so they didn't feel it was as big of a necessity to have George Kittle out there blocking as much. Anything else on this?
The Scott Fish comment?
I've never mentioned anything that Scott Fish has ever said.
Yeah, he was responding to the Kellen Mond thing. Said he's in Cleveland. I was so mad we took him over Mills. Charch and I wanted Mills there. He's pissed.
Yeah,
makes sense. Mills has looked pretty decent.
Yeah, better than Mond. Mond
Yeah,
apparently is, from what I read, like he was kind of like getting into it with the coaching staff and stuff, and like his dad was making comments that like they never even gave him a chance and all this stuff. So it was pretty the Kellen Mond experience was ugly. It was
Kellen Mond's dad and Rodrigo Blankenship's dad need to make like
and OBJ's dad
and OBJ's dad need to make a club of like dads who get involved in their adult sons' lives a little bit too much.
The disgruntled dad squad.
The disgruntled dad squad. Speaking
the
of
overimportant
Fish,
disgruntled dad squad.
Speaking of Scott
Jail,
Fish,
that is so rude to call him a disgruntled dad. I don't think you fit in that category at all, Scott.
Ian is going to be in the NFL, and Scott Fish is going to be one of these dads. I have no doubt in my mind.
The problem is Ian's going to be killing it, though.
That's true.
That's true.
But
no reason to be disgruntled.
Speaking of Scott
Ian
Fish, I am up right now in the Scott Fish Bowl against Danny Kelly from the Ringer. I'm up by 13 points, 13.2 points, and he still has Jerry Jeudy left to play. Do I win it? 13.2 fantasy points. Just Jerry
I give you
Jeudy
a 51% chance. Jay.
That's pretty good. That's far lower than what MFL is giving me. Giving me 72.
Have you won yet?
No, not. I won against the median. I haven't won straight up.
We're pulling for you, buddy. This is the time.
He doesn't give a percent. He just goes, "You got this, guy."
I'm just trying to be positive.
You got this, Chief.
You got this.
Albert in the chat. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Albert. What's up?
What up, Albert? Welcome.
What
in.
up, Albert? Good morning.
Good morning, indeed, guys. Let's talk about this Patriots-Browns game a little bit before we talk the Pat side, because I know that's where all the intention is going to be. I just want to say, what in the ever-loving God was the game plan for the Cleveland Browns? They do one thing well, and it's called running the ball. And they're only going to run the ball 18 times in this game and let Jacoby Brissett chuck it 45 times. I don't care if this Browns team is down 30 points. The best shot at winning is not to have Jacoby Brissett throw the ball 40 times. It's to just keep giving the ball to Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. And they just weren't doing that. Even when this game was close, they were not running the ball. I'm confused. Like it was truly just like confusion watching this game. Like, what are they doing? Like they're just not doing the one thing they're good at. Like, it's not like they have like a really exciting passing attack that they go to whenever the run's not working. But man, rough. And then the Patriots on the other side, you know what? They were slinging the ball a little bit, and they probably should, because Zappe looks good out there. 24 for 34, 309 yards and 2 touchdowns in this one.
Zappe got some zip on the ball, guys.
Zappe got some damn zip on the ball.
Little zippy Zappe.
A little zip zap on that ball.
Let's go, dude. Yeah, I mean,
Tommy asking Zappe or Jones. And I think that's the question. We don't need to skirt around it. People are talking about the potential of Zappe replacing Mac Jones as a starter for this team. Coop, how do you feel about that? Who do you want starting it for the Patriots? Do you want Zappe or do you want Mac Jones?
Like, so for me, at this point, I say just keep rolling with Zappe until Mac Jones is at least fully 100%. And I've seen, like, the thing with this particular team is we've seen them go away from a 10-year, $100 million man in Drew Bledsoe to go with with Tom Brady. So I'm fully on board with whoever they decide on. That's where I'm at. But I mean, Zappe, it's been fun with Zappe in there. So if they want to just roll with the hot hands, I'm here for it. Let's go. I got a little bit of the Zappe fever. Feeling zippy Zappe this morning. So
I swear to God, if it happens again, Like I swear to God, if Zappy's another Tom Brady, like if they just happen to pull that absolute nonsense again, like grab this guy at the end of a draft, he comes in because of an injury, and then he's the next GOAT. Like I'm
That's what
not
we
calling
do.
it. That would just be absurd, wouldn't it? If it happened to the same team, like within years of their 6-time Super Bowl winning quarterback leaving.
Just plays with for 20 years, has a kid with an actress, and then marries a supermodel, then moves to Florida, gets divorced. Just the full. I'm here for the full timeline happening all over again. I'll go to those parades. I'll go to every one of those parades.
Dude, that's what I'm expecting from Daniel Jones. It's just the full Eli metamorphosis.
He becomes a legend. You know what?
Now Zappy, the same thing for Tom Brady.
We're gonna get Generation 2.0. It's now Jones and Zappy instead of Manning and Brady. Oh man, what a world that would be. Swansea in here saying Zappy, win F everything else. Yeah, he's winning F everything else. That's some hardcore analysis right there. And
he's not wrong.
Tommy's saying send Mac Jones to the Panthers. Trade Mac Jones. Do you think people have been talking about maybe the Patriots showcasing Zappy for a trade? Do you think they move Mac Jones, or there's like if they roll with Zappy, is that something that's on the menu?
I mean, it would have to be. It would have to be at that point, but not this year. Like you're not going to trade a guy mid-season.
No,
that would be an off-season move. But we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's unlikely.
And then Dustin said, "Real question: Colts. What do you trade for Mac or Zappy?" So if you're the Colts, after that Matt Ryan game, Matt Ryan just killed it this weekend, but maybe they still don't view him as the long-term answer. Like he's a 1 year, maybe 2 year rental over there in Indianapolis.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if you could still get a first-round pick for Mac Jones. I think Mac Jones would have more trade value than Zappy because if the Patriots, you got to think of it from the logistics standpoint. Like the Patriots took him in the 4th round. If they turn around and go with Mac Jones, and they say Mac Jones is better than Zappy, then Zappy probably loses some trade value. So you get more back for Mac Jones than Zappy. Do you guys agree?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
because Mac Jones looked good. Like he's been very consistent, and his completion percentage. He had like the 2nd best rookie completion percentage all time, but he's just not as exciting. Doesn't sling it the way that Zappy does. Zappy clearly is willing to take more chances. Throwing it downfield, Tyquan Thornton, all these guys. So it's more exciting watching Zappy. There's no question.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. I think that, and we talk about Mac Jones actually being replaced by Bailey Zappy. And I just don't think the NFL really works this way where you have Mac Jones, who's been a quarterback that everyone has been hyped about, right? Last season, I mentioned this in the show yesterday, but last season, right? Mac Jones, a lot of people were touting Mac Jones as the best quarterback out of that class. And then to switch because of an injury short term would be very odd behavior from an NFL coach or GM. I would be shocked if they moved away from Mac Jones long term.
I mean, dude, just drafting Bailey Zappy was odd behavior in itself, though. Like to take another quarterback with a 4th round pick, where now his contract is going to overlap exactly with Mac Jones's because Mac Jones has the 5th year option, right? And you assume you pick that up. Now you have these 2 dudes that the contracts overlap like perfect for the next 4 years. So kind of crazy situation. But here's a bit of a controversial take within the Patriots community, but I'm honestly of the opinion that at the time, Drew Bledsoe probably in a vacuum was still a better quarterback than Tom Brady when Tom Brady was first on the scene. At the time, at that moment, I think Drew Bledsoe is a better quarterback, but the question wasn't Drew Bledsoe or Tom Brady. The question was Tom Brady and $100 million or Drew Bledsoe, because going with Tom Brady in his contract allowed them to pay guys like Richard Seymour and get, and really like load up on that defense and load up. So it's like, it's not always just about which player is in a vacuum better. At the time, Drew Bledsoe probably was a better quarterback. Obviously, Tom Brady developed into the better quarterback, but with that money and the quarterback, that's a difference maker to me. So, maybe controversial, but at the time, it was the money plus the player versus just the player.
Yeah,
Scott Fish at least agrees with you. He says, I agree, Coop, on the Bledsoe take over there.
Bledsoe was good, man. He could sling. That guy could chuck the football, right? But, again, if it's close enough, $100 million is a pretty good tiebreaker.
We had a question come in here from Nick. It's from Brendan. Brendan said, how do you guys feel about Ertz rest of season with D-Hop returning? I see one from Nick as well. We'll hit that in a second. But how do you guys feel about Ertz rest of season with D-Hop coming back into the mix?
His targets are going to go down. That's how it works. We knew this was coming. We know it's coming for Gerald Everett too when Keenan Allen gets back. But there's only one football. As cliche as that is, DeAndre Hopkins is going to lead this team in targets, and I think that he likes Kyler clearly likes Marquise Brown. So and last year with Ertz, like the way he ended the season, we really didn't see Hopkins play that many games with Ertz. Hopkins during that stretch only played basically like 2 games. So we've not even seen Ertz with Hopkins, and we definitely haven't seen Ertz with Hopkins and Marquise Brown. So for me, I'm trying to trade Zach Ertz, honestly, while he's high in the rankings before he becomes a kind of a boring boom bust touchdown option. But
Marquise Brown did get injured in this game. I believe the X-rays were negative, is what I'm seeing here, but he was in a walking boot after the game. I believe it was a foot injury. So something to keep an eye on. That would certainly affect Ertz's situation, but I agree with Coop generally that, I mean, we knew this was going to happen. We knew Hopkins was going to come back. Now, one thing I will bring up is when we have seen Hopkins in this offense with Kyler, he really hasn't commanded a high target share. He was more of a boom bust type of high ADOT, low target number type of guy. And there's a chance that it returns to that, but something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah. So as long as Hollywood's out, then you'll be in the same situation you're in now, which is pretty good for Ertz, right? If he's a second target on the team,
even be better for him, honestly.
Right. Yeah, 17 target games for Marquise Brown. Probably not going to get too many of those for Hopkins. But that's where I'm at. So as long as Hollywood's out, you can get him in there. It's just if he comes back for playoff time, which is what matters most, and Ertz is now the 3rd target on the team, not as appealing to me.
He's back in the glob for you at that point, back in the tight end glob,
right into the glob.
You're sitting on the outside now, but it's coming for you. That glob is coming. You can't
kind of like
escape it.
WandaVision. I forget what they call it there, but it's a glob.
The circle thing, the sphere of influence is what I'm going to call it. But I know that's not what the sphere of influence. You know what it reminds me? You guys ever play Neopets?
Yeah, long time.
Do you remember the game Giant Jelly Blobs of Doom, where you were a little jelly dinosaur and you had to go around and eat the little jellies, but it made you bigger and bigger as you ate more of them until you could eat the giant jellies that were floating around on the screen?
I've never seen it.
It's a Flash game, so it's lost to the what's that word? The blanks of the internet.
History?
I think it's like
the anals of the internet.
So that's what I was about to say, but then I didn't want to say anals out loud because it didn't sound right. But I think that's the word. It was lost to the that sounds
two
like
ends.
a complete
2 ends.
Like me
A-N
saying
and A-L.
giant jelly blobs of doom were lost to the anals of the internet is an entirely different sentence than what I'm trying to communicate.
Anals is a record of events year by year.
There's no way it's pronounced.
I think it might be annals.
Annals of history. I think annals.
Whoa.
The annals of history.
Are we live?
Yeah, totally.
Oops. Yeah, but
you're listening to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show, talking annals of the internet.
Perfect. Yeah, that's where we're at.
The dead will live forever in the annals of infamy.
Shove your fucking cheese. Shove your fucking cheese. Shove your fucking cheese up your ass.
Up your ass. I love that video.
That's basically what Sauce Gardner said this week.
Shove your cheese up your ass.
That video single-handedly convinced me. Like, it changed my entire opinion on whether or not there should be a team in London. I'm in. We need more like British soccer style chants in the NFL. Like, I don't care about any of the logistics issues. I just need more of that. I need more British NFL fans coming up with chants
talking
like
mad shit,
cheese up your ass after they beat the Packers. And they're also sing-songy together. They're like, it's just pleasant and happy and
they
aggressive.
all knew it.
I think
they
like if you listen,
know.
It comes together. They hear one person doing it and they're like, oh, we're singing now. Let's do this. That's one of my new favorite videos.
Saying, please do not Google annals of the internet.
Too late.
Too late.
Bathrooms of Legend, Annals of History on the Discovery Channel.
Guys, we constantly just put out bangers. Like we're constantly just putting out gold. It's amazing.
I'm saying as someone who has not seen WandaVision and has not played Neopets, I've just for the last 5 minutes I've been sitting here going. Like, Okay. Dude.
Okay, what can we talk about? Well, if you didn't play Neopets, then you were obviously a Webkins kid, right?
What's a Webkins?
What the heck is Webkins?
What in the heck is a Webkins? That one's been
It
lost.
sounds like it's like familiar, but I don't actually.
It was a stuffed animal, basically a Beanie Baby that came with a tag that had a code on it that you then could type in the code online and have like a little house with your stuffed animal
now
pet.
I kind of remember.
It was Neopets-esque, same genre, but you had to buy a $30 stuffed animal first. And people were like hyper collective of them. Like Webkins were so hot in suburban America in like the early 2000s.
Coop's got like another 4 tabs open, all Googling everything we're talking about.
I'm like looking, I'm like, what is this, dude?
Freaking
like,
Neopets jelly game.
I didn't play that jelly game. I will say that there is, if you go to, there's like a flash game archive. Like somebody like is like preserving them all, and you can like play all those Flash games. So
even without Flash.
Even without Flash, especially without Flash. I think
especially without Flash.
If you have Flash,
does
they
that
won't
mean?
let you in.
It actually would ruin it. Yeah. So go Flash Games
Also,
Archive. Check it out.
I understand it's a security issue for them, and that's why they got rid of Flash in these browsers. But let me make the decision on if I want to take that security risk to play Jelly
You
Blossom
totally
2.
can. I'm pretty sure you can. I'm pretty sure if you go into like the deep anals of your browser settings, you'll find it.
Okay, I'll take a journey down into the annals of the internet to try to fix this one.
You can find Flash. You can bring it back. You can take down all your.
I think you can bring Flash back.
Simon's just.
I just remember getting a warning every time I opened Google Chrome for like 6 months, where it was like, in December of 2021, we will be eliminating the Flash plugin from your browser. It will no longer work in your browser. And I check all the other browsers, and they're like, us too. Like, okay,
we're part of that crew too.
Simon's just
Neopets.
Simon's just like take down the firewalls. Just letting all the all the malware in.
Let me decide.
Exactly.
I'll be the security of this browser.
No, it makes sense. It makes sense. We had another question in here from Nick. Nick wanted to know start, sit, cut moving forward. So start, sit, cut.
I like that.
Jimmy
cadence.
G, Russell Wilson, and Jared Goff. Start, sit, cut. Jimmy Garoppolo, Russell Wilson, Jared Goff.
In fantasy football or real life? Because that's the two different for me.
Yikes.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yikes, he says.
Start Russell Wilson. Sit Jared Goff and cut Jimmy G. That's where I'm at.
You're starting Russell Wilson? Is this for real football or for fantasy? What are you doing this about?
For both, dude.
For both?
I can't start Jimmy
you
G,
believe
dude.
You believe Russell Wilson? I mean, so far you probably would have been better off starting Jimmy G than Russell Wilson.
I think Russell Wilson's going to be okay.
Jail, what about you? Are you
hot take? Here's a hot take. I think Russell Wilson's better than Jared Goff.
Yeah,
whoa, settle down there.
Score what you got. I don't know why you were making me feel bad for what I said, but you know what I mean? Like, I think Russell Wilson's better than Jimmy Garoppolo.
Oh, he's just looked awful so far, as I think let's go. Not that he's a better football player. I'm with you. JL, who are you starting here? It's start, sit, cut.
I wish you would stop asking me questions.
Hey, JL.
Call back 3:00. Ask for Nando DeFino.
Nando and then Corey
if you have any
Parson.
difficult questions, if you have any start, sit questions about DSTs, call back. Ask for Nando DeFino.
Okay, so at this point, you can't trade Russell Wilson. He's not worth anything. Nobody's going to trade you for Russell Wilson. So you just got to keep Russell Wilson.
Well, there's no trade in here. It's start, sit, cut.
Start, sit, cut. Okay. Keep, cut, trade. I'll start Jared Goff. What the heck? Let's go. Let's ride, baby.
Let's ride. Lions country. Let's ride.
And then sit Russell Wilson.
And then I'm going to trade Jared.
There is no
Goff.
trade. You just started Jared Goff.
What are you talking about? So you're gonna start Jared Goff, but also trade him.
I'm going to trade Jared Goff. I'm going to sit Russell Wilson
down with Jimmy Garoppolo and have a party.
You're gonna have no starting
watch
quarterback.
Jared Goff play.
You're gonna have no starting quarterback. My Scott Fishbowl team would have been better off with no starting quarterback.
With no starting quarterback.
JL just played start, trade is what JL played over here.
We have start, sit, cut, and you're like trade all three.
Trade Jared Goff 3 times and also start him, and that's
and also
my answer.
start him. There you go. STD's here from Tommy.
I hope you're satisfied with that answer from JL.
Yeah, I've never been more satisfied from anything with JL than I am with that right there. Tyson in here was saying, you guys know if Dobbins is healthy, a guy in my league is trying to move him, and then said, never mind. He told me he wants Breece Hall off of me. I'm keeping Breece. Man, what kind of manager out there is trying to trade Dobbins straight up for Breece Hall? Yeah. That is either someone who's
That's a clown trade.
They think so lowly of you, or they are so deeply like misguided about the value of their own players. Like they are suffering from the endowment effect at full force, where they just have these blinders on. And you know, I'm not going to assume negative intentions, because I've played with people where like the guys on their team knock them up 6 tiers anytime you're trying to trade with them, because man, do they believe in the guys on their team, even though they're trying to get rid of them for your guys.
Yeah. You don't have to hold it against them, but it's either one of two options. They either think you're dumb or they're dumb. Right? So take whatever bet you want there.
And just keep Breece Hall.
And
Breece Hall.
To his question, I am worried about J.K. Dobbins. He did leave the game. He didn't play in the second half with knee tightness in his surgically repaired knee. That does not sound good to me. So I'm definitely considering, we'll talk about it tomorrow when we get more info stuff, but Kenyon Drake, if he's going to have issues with his surgically repaired knee, you got to look at Kenyon Drake because he looked good out there.
That is what I said last night, Coop. I'm with you. Yeah. I'm with you. I was saying Kenyon Drake, I think, is absolutely worth the pickup. One, he looked very good yesterday. He looked quick on his feet. He looked nimble. He looked just overall very flexible. J.K. Dobbins is likely going to have games like this, games where he is not worked in as much, games where he is limited or just is limiting himself. Coming back from this injury is not ridiculous to think he might have tightness in his knee. Right? It's a serious injury that he's coming back from a surgically repaired knee.
JL, as a Ravens fan who probably watched most of that game, I have to ask you then, with with Kenyon Drake looking fast and looking sleek, how much of that do you think is because he's wearing number 17?
Probably, if not 100%, at least 99%.
At least 99%. Whenever I see like a number like that, I'm like, ooh, this guy's wearing number 7.
Dude,
he's got to be fast. He's got to. How quick is this dude? Then I see a dude wearing like number 34. I'm like, get this fullback out of my sight.
Plotter. Yeah.
Freaking with the same player, except he's wearing 37. Yeah, dude. That's a scrub cut number, bro.
Yeah, 17 is hot. Every time I was like, oh, who's that?
Yeah,
it's
like,
Kenyon Drake.
Is the end around?
I went to school with this guy.
Is this a reverse of some kind?
He wore that number in high school. I was waiting. I was waiting to throw that one in there. He's been wearing that. He's been wearing that number since high school.
Wow, dude. And
I think he switched it up a little bit. Yeah, he had to switch it up.
They changed the rules. So for a while, certain positions can only wear certain numbers, and for a while, as a running back, you couldn't wear single digit or 10 through 20, but now you can. So
Joe Kingsley in the chat saying, is Tyler Conklin worth holding? If Zach Wilson gets hurt, will he have value? I had to start him this week with Freiermuth out. What do you think, Mr. Tight End Tickler?
So I warned everyone for quite some time about this Tyler Conklin situation and to be honest, Tyler Higbee to a certain degree could fall in the same category of all the behind the scenes numbers are bad for Tyler Conklin. Like he's blocking on too many pass plays. His ADOT is super low. He hasn't broken a single tackle all season. Like everything behind the scenes was bad, besides the fact that the Jets were throwing 60 times a game. Even his target share was low. Like this is what his target share looks like when a team has normal game scripts, right? Joe Flacco at this moment, even though he got benched 3 weeks ago, has still thrown more passes than Justin Fields. That's how many passes he was throwing during those games. He was averaging over 50 attempts. And I don't think, even if Zach Wilson were to get hurt and Flacco were to come back, it wasn't Flacco's decision to throw it 50 times. It was the Ravens were scoring so quickly and efficiently against them that they had to throw 50 times. They were getting the ball, handed the ball right back so quickly because the Ravens were scoring on Devin Duvernay monster plays that they ran like 84 plays. And then they went to overtime with the Browns, right? They recovered an onside kick. It's like these things aren't supposed to happen every week, and they won't. So no, Tyler Conklin is droppable in all formats.
If you started Tyler Conklin, you got conked. You got conked hard, and just try not to get conked again. It's not gonna be pretty over there. We had a question from Tommy in here. He wanted to know, what was the best play you saw this weekend? Do any plays come to mind whenever you think of the best play you saw this weekend? Your favorite plays from week 6?
I liked the There's plays that got me fired up. The
Kenneth Walker run, he had a couple big break off runs that were really, really fun to see.
I mean, as someone who started Dalvin Cook in the league, it was like through the third quarter, he had like 11 yards. Like it was something absurd. So him breaking off that like 50-yard touchdown run from a fantasy perspective was huge. It saved his week, like truly saved his week because it was abysmal for Dalvin Cook before that touchdown run. So that one was like probably one of the ones where I cheered the most, but not where I was like, it wasn't the greatest play of the weekend, right?
Right.
Tyson Carter in the chat saying that Noah Brown end zone catch was nasty. That was. It didn't end up counting though, right?
Did it?
I think it got called back.
Yeah.
It was an insane catch though.
Still sick.
Absolutely. Also, Scott Fish in here with a question. You guys ruminate on that. If you think of any more, we'll bring them up. It says Ian is down by 1.1 in Scott Fish Bowl with the second high score going against the highest score of the week. He has Melvin Gordon left. The other guy's done. If Melgo doesn't go, Ian can drop Burks for who are the other options over there? We have KJ Hamler, Eric Saubert, or Greg Dulcich. Who's his pivot? So he only needs 1.1 point. If Gordon doesn't play, is it Hamler, Saubert, or Dulcich as the pivot play?
It's got to be Hamler. You can't trust Dulcich coming off IR, and Saubert isn't really that good. He's in there because he's good at blocking. So I would go Hamler. I mean, Hamler looked good last week. He was wide open for the game-winning touchdown. Russell Wilson just didn't find him. But I would go with Hamler there. I don't know, JL. Would you pivot? It is tight end premium, which makes Saubert pretty interesting. But I don't know. Like I could see Saubert having at any given time. I wouldn't be surprised if Saubert had a game where he didn't get a pass.
Yeah, I think Hamler is the safest bet for sure. Of the three of these guys, I agree with you completely here, Coop.
It's got to be Mel. I mean, like if Melvin Gordon plays, you start him for sure.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Dulcich and Saubert are both just like toss up option. You're just hoping for a catch, right?
The fun in me wants to go Dulcich, but it's the wrong choice. I think it's Hamler. I think Hamler's the move. I'm with you guys. We're going to keep on breaking down these games, and we're going to play some fantasy detectives coming up as well. We'll break down this Monday night football game that we're all going to be watching tonight. And then our friend John and Pemba is joining the show a little bit later today as well. You're listening to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Bettor Sports Network.
It's Sports Talk done better.
Coop, we did have a question for you. Get into Game wants to ask if you could create an all tight end team. Like, who would be your top tight ends? Like your favorite guys that you would put on your all tight end team?
Or does he want me to do an all tight end team where I fill out all the positions? Because I could do that.
That could
too.
work as well. Yeah, you want to do that?
So a wide receiver one, split end would be Kyle Pitts.
Checks out. I knew you were going to say Kyle Pitts.
Now on the other side, I would have Jimmy Graham.
Okay.
At the actual tight end slot, inline tight end, I'd have Rob Gronkowski.
Okay.
In the slot, I would have Tony Gonzalez, who under Chan Gailey for the Chiefs back in mid 2010s, he led the league in routes run from the slot. Now at quarterback, I would have Logan Thomas, a converted quarterback that now plays tight end. Right at running back, give me Jonnu Smith, a guy that has multiple rushing touchdowns. He could bring it up and down the field. At left tackle, give me Michael Pruitt, one of the premier blocking tight ends in the league. At right tackle, give me Nick Boyle.
Are you done this all off the top of your head?
Of course. At guard, we're gonna fill out the line with the best blocking tight ends that I can think of. So actually at center, give me a guy that's been a captain on a team because you need a strong, smart player at center. Give me
leadership.
Mercedes Lewis, a guy that's been in the league for a long time, one of the premier blockers. At guard, you're gonna want a little speed, a little heft. So I'll take a current guy, Albert Akwe-Bunam. I'll put him 6'6", 260. Put him at left guard. Have him do some swing routes. Have him run around. At right guard, I'll take. Give me Jason Witten. Just give me a big monster to throw in.
Get him out of the booth.
Throw down the run blocking. And
can we put this in like a graphic?
As my fullback, move tight end, I'm going to go with a guy that's played a bunch of fullback. He's played a bunch of move tight end. Very underrated. Give me Chris Cooley, former Redskins tight end, move tight end, Chris Cooley. So that would be my all-time tight end offense. If you need
now radio personality.
I am
in the DMV.
I am so impressed. Not just like you didn't just pull out those names and you didn't stop after the positional guys. You said we're talking O-line here too, because that's an important part of the offense. Coop, I could not put together a better all tight end team right now.
Now put
I
a
can
full
promise
depth
you that.
chart together.
You'd be insane to do it.
Punter,
I feel like
Coop.
I feel like a maniac just having done that. But
Who's the punter and who's kicking field goals?
Punter easily is going to be Algie Crumpler, because right off the top
Best
of my
name
head,
I've ever heard.
kind of sounds like punter. Seems like he could boot the ball.
Crumpler the punter.
Algie
Crumpler punter. And then for kicker, we just want to have as many all-time greats on the roster. So give me Antonio Gates.
Better Sports Network. It's sports talk done better.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back into the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Bettor Sports Network. We are about to get into our game of Fantasy Detectives. JL, I'm not sure. Have you won a Fantasy Detectives game yet?
Yes.
Hey, he won last week.
He won last week. Let's see if you can back it up. Double
You
victory.
know how he
in a
won?
row.
He won because he knocked out.
Do you already know the answer, Simon?
He knocked out the top 8 quarterbacks
A
in
Fantasy
order of
Feud.
most.
You're right.
Oh, that was Fantasy Feud.
Fantasy Feud.
Fantasy Detective. He's won some. Simon's,
He's won some.
I mean, JL's
I just like to throw a little bit of shade to get him motivated before these start. Like let him know I'm
no,
not
that doesn't
believing
work
in
with
him.
me. You know I don't like negative reinforcement.
You're
Always
right.
positive.
You're right. What am I doing right here? JL, if you are too scarred to play, actually, you know what? I already looked at the answers, so I can't let you
There
host
you
on
go.
this one. So I know the answers on this one. I gotta host it. That would have been a funny one. Just to put JL in the host spot. I already know the answers and just dominate Coop over
That would be really funny.
the entire game. And afterwards, I reveal to everyone, guys, how this game works is I'm slowly going to reveal information about a player's week 6 performance. These guys have to guess who the player is that we're talking about. They'll take turns guessing. Get it right, you're going to get a point for that round. You guys want to mix it up this time, where you get more points the earlier you guess it, so it's not just 1 point per each one. I'll count the number of clues. You get more points if you get it on fewer clues. Before we do that, though, we had some questions in the chat I wanted to make sure we got to. Jay in here. What's up, Jay? Welcome in. He said, I need some advice. I'm 3-3 in PPR. My team is Burrow, CMC, Kenneth Walker, Higgins, Sutton, and Ertz, and then Deontay. On bench, he's got Waddle, Najee, Pierce, Jacoby Myers, and James Conner. I'm trying to turn it around and don't know who I should move. And this is a pretty solid team, and it's coming together, right? With Kenneth Walker kind of coming into that starting running back job, looking incredible. Your running back core is great with those two guys plus Damian Pierce. Maybe you could get an upgrade at the wide receiver position or at tight end, but I'm not sure who you're moving. Maybe you can still capitalize on that Najee value, like maybe name value enough as you move Najee.
Yeah, if you have it sounds like you have a wide receiver on the bench, like Jalen Waddle on the bench. Maybe take a wide receiver in Najee and try and trade up for top talent like a Eckler or a Barkley. You know what I mean? Go shoot us. I mean, if you're taking a decent wide receiver and a Najee Harris, I mean, you might be able to pull that off. What do you think?
Maybe go for Joe Mixon. Like
somewhere in
he's
that
been
range.
disappointing a little bit, right? You could probably you might be able to get a Joe Mixon if you trade Najee plus a wide receiver that direction. Joe, how do you feel about this team?
Yeah, I agree with you guys. CMC might be interesting if you wanted to. I think CMC or Najee are interesting trade away targets if you really wanted to. I'm not saying that CMC is going to fall off by any means, but just in terms of redistributing, trying to get some of that strength behind your wide receiver core, which I think is probably your biggest weakness here.
I don't mind that. I am trying to hold on to CMC at all if I can. I would prefer to have this team with CMC, but you're right, Jay. That's probably the piece with the most trade value sitting there. For sure. Fantasy Dog in the chat saying, I'm here. Thank God. We were waiting for you, Fantasy Dog. Now we can start. Woof, woof. Welcome in, Fantasy Dog. Good morning, my man. Jacob had a question for it. Said, I need 15.6 from Sutton and Everett tonight in PPR. How are my chances? Coop, you liking their chances with Sutton and Everett? They need 15.6 points from those two guys.
I like it, but if Gerald Everett's my tight end, I tweeted this out weeks ago that Everett and Zach Ertz to me are more band-aids than they are like the solution to your problem for the rest of the season. So if Gerald Everett's my tight end, I'm starting him this week because Keenan Allen's doubtful, but Keenan Allen is going to return at some point, so I'm making other plans at tight end. But for this week, get it going, and I think you have a really good shot because Sutton's been good. You know, even if the quarterback isn't playing that well, he's looking for Sutton.
And he's finding them sometimes, not as often as we would like.
I mean, like we talk about that game as if like the problem it was the end of the world, but like the reality is if Russell Wilson just doesn't get locked on to the tight end there, he finds KJ Hamler for a touchdown, or if he just throws the ball like one more foot out, Sutton had a step on Stephon Gilmore, right? Like that could have easily been a touchdown if it was just a little bit of a better throw. He just threw it in a spot where Gilmore could get in there, and Gilmore is a former defensive player of the year. So if you give him any room, he'll make the play. So you got to throw that ball a little bit better. But if he does, where we might be talking about Russell Wilson completely different.
I'm with you, Coop. I think the narrative has gone pretty far on Russell Wilson. I don't know that it's necessarily warranted, just to the sense that like we know what we're gonna get with Russell. It kind of feels like he has the yips right now, but like he's an NFL quarterback who's been pretty good, above average NFL quarterback over the last, however many years. So, I think it's more likely he's going to bounce back to his former glory here shortly.
Maybe not tonight, though. We'll see.
Maybe not tonight. Maybe not, by the halfway mark of the season. But I think by the end of the season, he should hopefully have something together.
The game's in Los Angeles, and you get 3 points playing at home, and it's a 4.5 point spread. It's not like this is like a 10-point spread here, and everyone just thinks that the Broncos are trash now. Like they could end up being just fine. So we'll see.
Yeah, and their defense is so freaking good.
I thought about Andrews. I see Tyson Carter mentioning Andrews. That was one of the players I thought about, like with like Ertz, that Ertz team. Like if you can trade for an Andrews or a Kelsey, that would shore up your line because your lineup is already good. You know what I mean? But if you threw Mark Andrews or Kelsey in there, it'd be that much better.
For Tyson, how do you feel about Waddle plus Waller for Kelsey or Andrews? Would that be something you'd be willing to move? Waddle plus Waller?
I think, yeah. I mean, like if you find the right team, the thing is you have to think about the needs of the team. But if that person's sitting there and their wide receivers suck, they would love to have Waddle. And a lot of people, if you don't have Waller on your team, then you might not be thinking of, you might not have experienced the Waller what he's produced so far this year, and you might still be willing to trade for him, whereas people that have Waller, they know that it's been kind of painful. But so you might be able to get away with it with the name brand. Trade those name brand value guys like Darren Waller.
Absolutely. JL, do you want to go first or second in this game of Fantasy Detective today?
First.
Well, you're going second. Coop, you are going first today. I got to keep you on your toes. It can't be nice every single time. Coop, you're going to be going first in this round one. Here is your first clue of round one of Fantasy Detective. I wasn't sacked at all this week. That's all you're getting from clue one.
Not sacked one time. Interesting. Was it Marcus Mariota?
It was not Marcus Mariota. John Luke?
Trevor Lawrence.
It was not Trevor Lawrence. Your next clue is I had 58 passing attempts. Threw the ball 58 times.
58 attempts. 58. Damn.
What you thinking, Coop?
I want to say I know who this is, but because I was looking at a bunch of them. Was it Jimmy Garoppolo?
It was not Jimmy Garoppolo. JL, who are we talking about here?
Matt Ryan.
It is Matt Ryan, JL. Matt
boy.
Ryan. Nice job. That is up 4 clues. The second one, so you are going to get 3 points for correctly getting that one, JL. Nice job. 3 points, Matt Ryan. The rest of the clues were my QB rating was 107.6, and I threw for 3 touchdowns in my team's victory is what we had. Yeah, Matt Ryan chucking the ball 58 times, throwing for 3 touchdowns, and not sacked once behind that Colts offensive line.
That's kind of surprising. That clue did not give it away. The 58 attempts gave it away, but I had no idea he wasn't sacked at all. That's kind of crazy.
In my big hometown league, a kid started Matt Ryan against me. I'm like, in what world are you starting Matt Ryan? But paid off for him.
It has to happen in a home league. That's what happens.
Only-
You look
only
at the
world
team
where
you're
that
going up against, you're like, oh, I got this. And then like Matt Ryan goes off for 40 points.
I'm going tonight. I have Austin Eckler going. He needs to score 73 points for me. So anything could happen.
Anything can happen. Jail. What do you think about Coop's chances? He gave you we believe in you, buddy, earlier. What are you giving him if you need 73 points from Austin Eckler?
Come on.
73 points. I'll give you a 73% chance of winning that game.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate that. Now I feel a lot more confident. So
Joe,
Lock it in.
Just makes up lines, percentages, just says numbers. That's why you're so good at poll perception. Just throwing percentages out just randomly.
That's the trick.
You guys ready for this next one?
Yeah.
Okay.
I go first.
Yeah, you go first, JL. I had 2 receptions for 13 yards.
Two receptions for 13 yards. Let's go with Najee Harris.
It is not Najee Harris. Coop, you got a guess?
Is it 2 receptions for 13 yards? I don't know. Was it? Dude, I can't even. Every time I think of a player's name, I realize that he had more receptions than that. I can't even think of guys that far down on the reception total. The reception was it?
Totem pole.
Yeah.
Is that the
Was
word you
it?
were looking
I don't
for?
know. Was it Pat Fryermuth?
It was not Pat Fryermuth. Fantasy Dog in the chat saying JL is so cool. Lots of O's in that. So I'm not sure if he means it genuinely. I'm assuming genuine. Absolutely genuine.
Always.
You ready for the next clue?
Yeah.
Here is your next clue. I averaged 4.6 yards per rush on 21 attempts.
21 attempts.
Quite a few.
Oh, let's go with Derrick Henry.
It was not Derrick Henry. Coop, you got a guess for me?
Was it Ramondre Stevenson?
It was not Ramondre Stevenson. Good guess, though. Your next clue, and this is your last clue, is my long run was for 34 yards. A 34-yard run was the long. I can come up with another clue if you guys don't get it on this one.
Probably won't.
34-yard run. That's pretty crazy. Let's 21 attempts, 34-yard run. Who the heck could this be? I'll go with I guess I'll go with Breece Hall.
Sorry, Fantasy Dog was giving you the buzzer before you came in there, right there.
I have my chats minimized.
You got a guess, Coop?
Mine too.
Was it Saquon Barkley?
It was not Saquon Barkley. Here's your next clue. My previous high in carries on the season was 8. My previous high in carries on the season was 8 before this week.
Now you got 22.
21.
21.
23.
Is what I meant to
27.
say.
46. MLP.
Okay. Previous high was 8. Let's go with Kenneth Walker.
Ding, 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 ding. You are correct, JL. It is Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker is the correct answer. It was his first full game as the starter, right? It makes sense.
That makes sense, yeah.
From 8 carries to 21 carries in.
And then the 34-yard run makes sense because he had that big break-off run.
Which you had mentioned earlier on the show. Which
I had mentioned
together.
Yeah. We talked about it earlier, but he looked good, didn't he? He looked so good out there. Like, you just watch him, you're like, that's a football player. That's a football player. Like, he's just you got to be excited about Kenneth Walker. These rookie running backs, at least the top 2, if you drafted them, maybe at the beginning of the season, you were a little like, oh, I don't know if this is going to happen. But Breece Hall and Kenneth Walker, it's looking like maybe they're going to be the real deal for fantasy going forward. I'm happy with both of them. How do you guys view them in dynasty formats? Like, where are Breece Hall and Kenneth Walker in these dynasty running back rankings?
I mean, as far as this class. Oh, yeah, go ahead, Joe.
I said Breece Hall is probably a high-end RB2 right now, currently, with a probably back in RB1 upside would be my guess. I don't know where he's going, where his ADP currently is. Kenneth Walker, I see as probably a tier 2 below that.
Yeah. I mean, for me, they were both like, I never in my rookie rankings, at least, like compared to the other backs, like I wasn't moving Damian Pierce or Tyler Algier ahead of Kenneth Walker just because they got playing time earlier. You know what I mean? Like, I still believe in the talent of Kenneth Walker. So I always had him ahead. And I think both these guys in Dynasty are in that RB2 range because you start looking around and this is what happens when you have one really good year, like one amazing draft for running backs in 2017. All those running backs get old at the same time. So even though we're saying they're RB2s now, like Alvin Kamara, Aaron Jones, Austin Eckler, Zeke Elliott, Dalvin Cook, Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry, these players are all 26 or 27 years old now. And that's, when you start hitting 27, 28, that's when the wheels start falling off. So that makes Breece Hall and Kenneth Walker very valuable assets because even if they're not RB1s now, they're going to be soon enough.
Yeah, it's a really good point. I feel like we're about to hit a pretty big changing of the guard here. We'll probably hit another wave in the next two years or so, where we just see really high turnover on the top 5 running backs, top 10 running backs.
Exactly. So are you trading, like if you're in a dynasty league, would you be trading Dalvin Cook straight up for a Kenneth Walker? Like,
is that a move? I would.
If I'm a top 2 team or 3 team in my league, I'm trading for Dalvin Cook. Otherwise I would trade him away because I don't think, like, Dalvin Cook looked awesome this week, right? If you're win now, you still want to go out and buy the Dalvin Cooks and the Alvin Kamaras and those guys. But a lot of people play for the future, which I usually don't play like that, but that's where I'm at. Like, I think it is a fair trade if one team's going for it and the other one's playing for a couple of years down the road.
Yeah,
I mean that type of trade I'd take in either scenario. I think like there's the likelihood that Dalvin Cook finishes so far above Kenneth Walker, given Kenneth Walker's situation rest of the season, is not that unlikely at all. So I think Kenneth Walker is going to give you that long-term value that Dalvin Cook probably his value is already depreciating. It's already depreciated a ton. It's only going to continue to depreciate.
Jay, I'm a little bit more with you on this one because, like, there are win now moves and there are play for the future moves. And I feel like even though this is a future move, it is not a not win now move. Know what I mean? Like, Kenneth Walker being the starting running back for the Seahawks is not anti-win now. You're not tanking. You're still getting a very startable, good running back. Like,
I'm saying they could finish closely.
Yeah.
Which it's all well and good until you lose to the team that has Dalvin Cook because he's better.
Sure. If it plays out that way, that'll suck. But there's a million different ways that could play out.
Yeah,
Justin got this one right.
For me, if I think I can win this year, I'm never going to make a trade that I think makes my team worse.
That's fair. That's 100% fair. Shout out Dustin and Jay, both getting Kenneth Walker on this one. Nice job, guys, snooping that one out. And Joe, you've got to leave
Snoop
4-0, but Coop goes first on this one. He's got plenty of time to come back.
Got to get that first shot, first, which is damn near impossible because the stat is always like 2 catches for 13 yards. But yeah, hit me with something that I can just.
Well, you get so much more information in this one, Coop, than that. You're not even ready for this. I'm rostered in 69.5% of leagues.
Hey.
I'm not sure what platform. I'm not sure where the stat comes from, but that's the information that you get. In some platform, in some league format, he's rostered in 69.5% of leads. So do with that what you will, Coop.
I'm
very cool.
Based off how you're saying this.
I did it in a
play the Careless Whisper, right? Okay. 69% of leads. Oh my god, that scared the hell out of me. I knew it was coming, but it still scared me pretty bad. I was like, 69% of leagues. So
don't forget that 0.5%. It's 69.5. That's an important half.
So you're probably looking at like sleep.
Is it not nice anymore?
Is it Tyler Algier?
It is not Tyler Algier. Dale, you want to take a shot at this?
Eno Benjamin.
It is not Eno Benjamin, but I like the route you guys went. Here's your next clue. I had 5 rush attempts for 39 yards.
5 rush attempts for 39 yards.
Coop, what you thinking?
5 rush attempts for 39 yards. Is this Marcus Mariota?
This is not Marcus Mariota. Dale, you got a guess?
Is this Paris Campbell?
This is not Paris Campbell. Your next clue is my longest rushing attempt was for 31 yards. So broke off a 31-yard run this player did. 5 carries, broke off a 31-yarder.
31-yarder in there.
And rostered in 69.5% of leagues.
Is it Rachaad White?
It's not Rachaad White. Dale, you got a guess?
Is it Jerick McKinnon?
It is not Jerick McKinnon. Here's your last clue. My fantasy position designation is tight end.
Okay, it's Taysom Hill.
It is Taysom Hill. You got that absolutely correct, but it was the last clue. So you're going to
for
get
this
one. Jalen, you got one.
Just give me the answer.
You got 1 point, right?
Got 1 point. Yeah.
Got 1 point.
My wedding weekend, I had a bunch of people in my house yesterday after the wedding, so I was like trying to tell everyone to shut their mouth so I could watch football, but
shut your stupid mouth.
It's kind of hard to go to the maid of honor and be like, hey, shut your little mouth up. I'm watching football.
Yeah, I bet that goes well. Maid
of honor.
That sounds really difficult.
Trying to watch football.
Why don't you guys go for a walk? There's a dog over there in the corner.
Why don't you guys go for a walk?
So disrespectful. And suddenly, weirdly enough, Coop's not married anymore. Lasted all of one football Sunday.
Did you enjoy the wedding? I'm working right now. I have a Bud Light in my hand watching football. I'm working.
You're just lit, so your eyes are kind of going a little bit different directions.
Yeah. I'm looking at the sun and the moon at the same time. It's like
the sun and the
just
moon.
hammered. I'm working.
I'm working over here.
That is always the best. Like on a Sunday when I'm like sitting on the couch, I got a beer in one hand, I got a full plate of nachos on the table in front of me. I'm checking my fantasy matchups, and my girlfriend walks in and is like, "Oh, what are you doing today?" And like in 100% earnest, like not even kidding. As I've got a beer in my hand, shoving nachos down my face with my favorite thing in the world on the TV, I'm like, yeah, sorry, I'm working all day today. Like I gotta watch these games. Like it never gets old sitting on the couch and going, I'm working. Because I
got a full day. We gotta start covering like tennis or horse racing, because like at any given time, somewhere in the world, someone's playing tennis right now. You know what I mean? Then we could be like, I'm working, dude. I gotta follow this. I gotta follow this race, right? Like, no matter what time it is, I can just be like, sorry, I can't.
Just always have just a nice escape rope.
Take the trash out. Can't working.
Yeah, this guy's riding a horse right now. I gotta watch.
Like there's always like you got your weekends covered Thursday through Sunday if you're doing golf. Like no matter what, there's always some golf event every single weekend. It's gonna be tennis during the week, and then you transition Thursday, Friday, Saturday to golf, and then you're just working 24/7.
Sorry, can't take the trash out. It's the New Zealand Grand Prix is on right now. So
New Zealand Grand Prix.
Yeah.
Coolster in the chat said, "Is it Taysom Hill?" They got it right.
It is Taysom Hill. Coolster. And
dude.
Coolster came in here a little bit earlier and said Brian Robinson and Deebo Samuel were his highest scoring fantasy players this week. So add another mark to the L column. It's all good, Coolster. You know what?
Some weeks he was like Taysom Hill.
Taysom Hill.
Mr. Cool. He's just Mr. Cool in it. In the chat.
Cool.
Coop, I was so happy. Like Taysom Hill got pretty much the same usage he got last week. You know what I mean? He threw the ball 3 more times than he did last week. Like 4 pass attempts, 5 rushing attempts. Oh my God. I'm just so like, now it's okay if he has more big games. I'm just so happy that it wasn't like 2 in a row, like that he didn't come out here and have another 3 touchdown game. This is what happens. This is what Taysom Hill does. He's just as likely, if not more likely, to do this, give you 30 rushing yards than to score 4 touchdowns. Like absurd.
You weren't on the morning show Sunday pregame with FYF show, but on that one we talked about this. Did you know Taysom Hill was $7,500 salary on FanDuel this week?
3rd highest tight end.
300 less than Mark Andrews. 300 less.
Because that's what FanDuel does, dude. And that's what FanDuel and DraftKings do, is they protect themselves. You know what I mean? Like when somebody's questionable, like a running back's questionable, they make Alexander Madison like $800. Like if Dalvin Cook is even questionable play. So of course, if there's a guy that scores 4 touchdowns, and then next week they're just trying to trick you, right? Like every week.
100%.
Like, let's make these idiots pay $8,000 for Taysom Hill. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of course.
Coolster saying I'm keeping.
Sure they did it.
Yeah, people did it. Coolster saying I'm keeping Taysom Hill in my lineup rest of the season. I've got no issue with that, Coolster. Truly, my issue is if you're expecting that every week. Be fine with games like this and you're going to get some other big games. Like, but you got to be cool taking your lumps with games like this. That's who Taysom Hill is. That's what you're going to get.
Coolster always keeps it cool though, dude. You know, but
Coolster
I mean, that's
knows.
Coolster knows, dude. He's cool. But I mean, that's always been my advice. Like, you have to make that decision. When people ask me start sits, I'll answer every single start sit that you ask me, as long as the players involved have more than one target. If you right, like, because I can't compare this, like, you know, freakazoid, you know, goon hybrid QB tight end from like the 1950s to just a normal person that gets 5 or 6 targets and scores or doesn't. It's like you're asking me to do something crazy. So with that particular player, only you can make that decision for yourself. Only you can prevent forest fire.
Only you can prevent
forest
Taysom Hill from entering your lineup. We got to get some Smokey the Bear Taysom Hill t-shirts.
We do. It's so funny because you made the joke, but my brain was in the process of like thinking about that. Like I heard it too.
I said it. Yeah, the way I said it, I was like, I don't know what my brain immediately was like. You just said it exactly the way Smokey the Bear would say it. Only you can make that decision. But
you kind of like narrated it as my brain was thinking about it, so it sounded like you were just in my brain saying that.
Like, there's no level of analysis that can, you know, that can help me figure out if he's going to score a touchdown on his 4 carries or not, you know? So it's your call to make. And if you want to do it, do it.
I feel like I'm having trouble picturing Smokey the Bear, and what's happening is I've only seen him on posters, and the only other thing I've also only ever seen on posters is Uncle Sam. And so I think I'm combining Smokey the Bear and Uncle Sam in my head. I keep picturing Smokey the Bear pointing, but I'm almost positive he doesn't point, right? Or does he point?
Bear points. He says, "I want you for the U.S. Army."
Do they both point? Are they both pointers? Are Uncle Sam and Smokey the Bear, are they the same person?
Smokey kind of just chills with a shovel, I'm pretty sure.
He's preventing forest fires with a shovel over there. That makes sense. That makes sense.
You fight fires with a shovel?
Actually,
you fight fire with shovel.
Shovel is a huge piece of fighting fire. No joke.
Really?
Not sure if you guys have actually seen that. Yeah, because you could like you have like these big fields and they just dig like a huge thing. They dig it all up so it can't just keep burning. Right? And they also using fire is how you fight forest fires too. Like, you go and burn a huge patch in advance.
You're like, I got it first.
Right. Well, that's because then it can't jump. I swear. I've seen a bunch of that. It's
my buddy who moved out to Colorado, like a couple weeks after moving there, sends me this video. He's like, yo, I just walked out my office and this was so cool though. A helicopter, I'm sure you guys have seen this though, but with the big tarp, went down into like a body of water nearby and just picked up this giant tarp full of water that they're dragging. And then a helicopter flies over the fire and just releases the water onto everything. Like, that is so cool. That tickles something in my brain that I want to watch. Like, just like, I don't know what about that is cool, but like just the amount of the volume of water falling from the sky picked up by a helicopter, just sick.
Badass, dude.
You guys ready for the next round? JL's in the lead 4-1, but Coop, you still got time to come back.
Here we go.
I believe JL goes first on this one, though. So, JL, you're going to have the first guess. My quarterback averaged 6.4 yards per pass attempt this week.
My quarterback? So this is another play on the team?
This is another player on the team, or unless they're throwing to themselves, I guess.
Okay, so they threw for what?
It's like a tackle. It's like a guard.
6.4 yards per attempt is what their quarterback threw for. So this clue is not even about them. Best case scenario, you can get the team here.
It's like Creed Humphrey. You just throw out an irrelevant quarterback stat to throw us off.
6.4. Let's go for Saquon Barkley.
It is not Saquon Barkley. Coop, you got a guess?
Brandon Ayuk.
It is not Brandon Ayuk. Let's go to our next clue. I have 45 targets on the season. So through 6 weeks, 45 targets for this player.
Pretty good.
7.5 targets a game. Let's go with oh God, I don't know, man. Let's go with Christian Kirk.
It is not Christian Kirk. Coop, you got a guess?
Is it Adam Thielen?
It is not Adam Thielen. It is not Adam Thielen. Your next clue, I only caught 2 passes on 5 targets this week.
2 targets.
5 targets.
5 targets, 2 receptions. 40. Is it Mike Gesicki?
It is not Mike Gesicki.
2 targets. 5 targets, 2 catches. Is it KJ Osborne?
It is not KJ Osborne. Here's your next clue. I am playing with a new quarterback this season. What you think, JL?
Cortland Sutton?
It is not Cortland Sutton.
Playing with a new Cortland Sutton hasn't played yet this week, JL.
Is that a clue?
Well, I mean, all these stats are from
his
this
quarterback
week.
threw for 6 point whatever yards this week.
I was thinking on the season.
New quarterback. Is it? Oh my God! Is it?
Good guess, Goop.
Is it Alec Pierce?
It is.
Oh, he's a rookie, so it wouldn't. That kind of messes that clue up. Yeah, but not.
It is not Alec Pierce. That is the last of the clues that I have over here. Nobody's going to get this one. It is Tyler Lockett. Tyler Lockett is the correct answer. Dustin got this one correct. Shout out Dustin. Brendan as well in the chat getting that one with Lockett. Nice job, guys. And Scott said, my dad was a smoke jumper and firefighting U.S. Forest Ranger before becoming a teacher. That's badass. And then becoming a teacher, that's triple badass. That is 3 very meaningful careers right there. That's pretty awesome.
It's awesome.
Sick.
And also, Scott saying Coop is right. What I can't get over is fighting a fire from the middle. Unreal. They fighting fires from the middle of the fire?
I didn't know that one. That's new to me, dude. I've never heard of that. That is wild. That's badass.
In January of a couple years ago, I forget, but it was the January of 2020, I think. Maybe it was 2021. I was out in Grand Lake, Colorado. Just hanging out. We went skiing. We also went snowmobiling. But when we went snowmobiling, we went up into the national park. And it was very shortly after they had the wildfires there. And it was one of the most beautiful but eerie things, seeing just how powerful, like the damage that fire did. Like as far as I could see, it was just burned out black trees on this white snow. And it was truly like creepy in a beautiful way. Like it was eerie driving through that national park on a snowmobile and seeing just the miles and miles and miles of damage that fire did. Like,
yeah,
that's
I've seen
scary,
that
man. That's powerful
in
stuff.
New Mexico, there was a bunch of forest fires and stuff we used to go see the remnants of. It's pretty crazy.
Scary stuff. Fire scares the hell out of me, man. Just absolutely terrifies me. Coop, you are still losing this one. We got one more round, though. It is not over yet. And you are going first on this one.
Let's do it.
Once I think someone forgot a number in this statistic, so I got to pull that up real quick. Coop, sing a song for me.
That
is so good. Okay, now we're ready. Sorry about that, guys. 100% my fault. I have 3 rushing touchdowns on the year.
3 rushing touchdowns on the year. 1, 2, 3. Is it? Rushing touchdowns. Is this one Ramondre Stevenson?
This one is Ramondre Stevenson. And you are going to get...
Let's go, dude.
Do we have
Stupid
in
game.
1,
stupid ass game.
2, 3, 4. You are going to get 4 points for that.
Oh
Coop,
my
for getting that on the first
God,
guess, which actually gives you the win. 5-4 in this game. Coop is our winner.
Whatever.
It's my boy Jumanji Stevenson, baby. Yeah.
I cannot believe you just pulled that out right there, Coop. Pulled out the win. Guys, coming up, we're going to talk some Monday Night Football, and our friend John and Pemba is joining the show to help us with that and talk some quarterbacks for fantasy. If you're enjoying what we're doing right here, you want to see some more of our beautiful faces, head on over to our YouTube channel at Front Yard Fantasy. Hit that subscribe button. We are over there all the time playing games, pushing out fantasy content to help you win. So make sure you're subscribed. Right now, though, you are listening to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Bettor Sports Network.
Call, chat, and enter contests in real time. It's Sports Talk 3.0 with Bettor Sports Network. Moose and Keith.
Because I never asked you this. When Noah was growing up, when did Noah first where you got a sense that this is what my son wanted to do?
I was really busy during his formative years. I didn't meet Noah until he was about 19.
Nice.
So,
Your wife did a good job.
yeah, you may want to talk to your wife. I would say about 13, he started showing a legitimate interest. He started getting curious about how I prepared, what it required. And then I saw a little bit of a shift, 14, 15, where he was concentrating on the on-cameras, the interaction between play-by-play and analyst, and started probably taking mental notes at that point of the performance aspect of, okay, you do all this prep, but you got to go out and deliver it. So, yeah, probably that 14, 15 range, I thought to myself, this could be something he really wants to do.
Front Yard Fantasy, weekday mornings at 7 Eastern on Bettor Sports Network.
You don't need to be like right 100% of the time.
No, there was a tweet about the refs that had me kind of cracking up the other day because somebody was like, we have the technology to track the ball down to a centimeter and figure out what speed these guys are running on the field. Yet somehow we still mark the ball by
That's my favorite.
a 60-year-old dude eyeballing it, and then we run over with literal chains and measure it. It's like, you think we can probably get that figured out.
The least precise way to measure something, and then immediately following that up with a super precise way of measuring something.
Yeah, it's like we have satellite.
Like if you're a millimeter short of that chain that they bring out there, that they ran out it as best they could in a straight line. But if you first they just go here, and then they grab the chains and they run in the straightest line possible. But then if you are 1 millimeter short with that football, it doesn't count. Sorry. Couldn't have been human error. You're just short.
That's exactly. And, they bring up the index card or whatever. Meanwhile, they have satellites in space tracking how fast Brandon Ayuk ran on an end around. But we can't.
and I can see that number live while he's doing it. Like I can see every player's speed on the screen live.
And I love that. It's and not to mention that dude's trying to make the spot, and the player always tosses the ball right into his face. Right? He's coming over to spot it, and it's every other time the player's just here you go. Here's another thing to juggle.
Lunch Money with Kyle and Ray, presented by FantasyGuru.com.
Is it me, Ray, or is the only publicity that Microsoft Surface has gotten out of their whole thing on the sideline is people throwing them to the ground in anger? Is that just a me thing? Or the only time I hear about this device, Ray, is when somebody is chucking it on the ground, just pissed off at it, which I get it. All of us are in that world. We'd love to do that. Only in the NFL, Ray, can they get away with it because these are free. There's no cost. It's part of the sponsorship. Here's 5,000 Microsoft tablets to get you through the NFL season, and these players are just slamming them down. It's like they've become Gilbert on the sideline, and they're so frustrated. They're just the only publicity this company and this product has gotten is negative.
Bettor Sports Network. It's sports talk done better.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back into the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Bettor Sports Network. We are about to have our friend John and Pemba join the show. We're going to talk a little bit about this Monday night game and some fantasy football quarterbacks. But I did want to talk about this Monday night game a little bit before we get in Pemba on here. Tonight, we've got the Denver Broncos at the Los Angeles Chargers. Coop, you mentioned it already, but the Chargers only 4.5-point favorites at home, despite what we've seen from this Broncos team, maybe giving them some credit for that defense and taking into account what we've seen from the Chargers so far as well. Total set at 45.5, so about average right there. Coop, You think this is a get-right game for the Broncos? It sounds like you've got a little bit more hope in Russell Wilson turning things around.
I do, and there's been some good points made. I forget who pointed out, but Aaron Rodgers himself struggled with this offense when it was first installed. I think that might have been the relaxed season where you are learning a new language, right? So we've seen it where they're rushing around before the snap, trying to get guys in place, going down to the 1 second on the play clock before snapping. I think it's going to get better for this team. But this is a huge game if they want to keep their season alive here for both these teams, really, because you got to win these division games in this division. You have to win. And so this is a huge swing for whatever team wins this. They're going to have more momentum going forward. But I think I more than most, I believe the Broncos can get right.
What about you, Joe? You optimistic with Coop on this one, or do you think the Broncos are going to continue to struggle tonight?
Tonight?
Or long-term as well. Give me
Because they are two different
your
answers.
prognosis.
Because they're two different answers. Tonight, I don't expect much change. I think they're still going to be working through a lot of these issues. Russell Wilson is now dealing with this injury. You don't know how that fully is going to affect him. But, yeah, so I'm not expecting a turnaround tonight at all. By the end of the season, yeah, I'm optimistic they'll be able to put something together. I'm optimistic that Russell Wilson will be more comfortable in this offense, that they'll have more rapport just through sheer trial and error here. So I am optimistic, I would say.
Optimistic. Guys, joining us right now, we'll hear where his optimism lies for Russell Wilson is our friend John Impemba. He's the senior manager of content over at Fantasy Alarm. He is Coop's co-host from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. on the Bettor Network right here, and from 9 p.m. to 12 a.m. over on SiriusXM Fantasy and the Fantasy Quarterback Whisperer. Impemba, thanks so much for joining us today, my man.
Hey, guys. How's it going? Good morning.
What's up, boss?
Wonderful.
Morning, my friend.
We were just talking a little bit about this this Broncos-Chargers game tonight. If this is the week where they start getting it right, what do you think for this game? Do you think Russell Wilson, we start seeing a turnaround this week, or is it going to be a little bit later along?
I don't really know. It all depends on how serious that arm injury, shoulder injury that they're calling really is. I know he's been getting that full work of practice, but, it was clear that he hasn't looked good and hasn't looked right when it comes to throwing the football this season. So maybe that is a reason. And now they're just kind of coming out and saying what the problem has been the last 2 weeks for him when it comes to throwing the football. This is also a defense that most teams find more success running against than they do throwing against. So, we could see them lean into that running game a little bit more tonight, especially if he's not 100%. Now, who's going to be the running back? I think it's more of an interesting question. Obviously Melvin Gordon is dealing with a neck and an ankle, I think it was, injury, and he's questionable to go into tonight. I still think they expect him to play, but they got Mike Boone. Latavius Murray doesn't have an injury designation for tonight either. He's somebody that they picked up and signed last week, but on the short week, obviously they had inactive, but he looked pretty good in his quick stint there with the Saints in that London game. So, they certainly have three running backs that I think they plan on using tonight. And if they struggle against the secondary that has a Derwin James, that has a J.C. Jackson there in the secondary, it comes to throwing the football and they're dealing with that pass rush that the Chargers can put on them, even though they don't have Bosa, they could opt to run the football instead.
Tommy in the chat saying Murray, I forgot about him. So we had a question from Scott Fish earlier. He said his son Ian Fish is in the Scott Fish Bowl, he basically needs 2 points, right? 1.1 point. He said that guys like KJ Hamler, Eric Sauber are on waivers. If you were in that situation, say Melvin Gordon doesn't go, would you start KJ Hamler, or would you go with a Latavius Murray in that situation, John? If it was your team and you needed 2 points.
Yeah, I would go Latavius. I don't think they picked him out without the intention of using him. Again, they haven't been overly high on Melvin Gordon. And last week, Melvin Gordon's fantasy production looked okay against Indy, but his yards per carry wasn't great. He was more sort of volume stats. He didn't help in the passing game. I think he had 4 catches in that game, but it seems like they've been kind of down on him. He's had some fumbling troubles. He's also apparently banged up, like I said. Mike Boone, we know what Mike Boone is, right? Like he's not somebody that I don't think they plan on having like long-term use for unless absolutely necessary. And I also don't think that Latavius Murray would have signed with the Broncos without some sort of expectation that he would have some sort of role in this offense. The reports were that the Saints tried to sign him to their full-time roster and he jetted for Denver instead. So I think there had to be some conversations going on there we know that all season long the Broncos have used a split backfield, whether with Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon. I don't think that's just going to change all of a sudden where Gordon's going to be the guy getting, the majority of those touches. So if you need 2 points tonight, I think Latavius Murray can get you 20 yards or more in this game.
He could be out there. I don't know if he's out there, but
if not, I would start Ballard over Hamler too, personally. So he's
really, you would start Ballard over Hamler.
So I would go there. I know Coop's the tight end guy, not the stomp on your ground there, Coop. But that's where
you're good, brother. You're good. If you're making calls like you did on our podcast, Jets over the Packers outright, straight up money line. Then I trust your calls on.
They just didn't look good, and they didn't look good again on Sunday. So it was stunning to me to see the 7.5 point line in the first place after they lost to the Giants. Again, Giants are 5-1, but they don't look like a 5-1 football team. And now that to me, it felt like the Jets have a team that is a bit more talented, a bit more exciting, a better team on defense. So I was not high on Green Bay, and I made that call in our pod to just bet the money line. Unfortunately, Massachusetts we can't bet, so would have been nice to make that play.
Soon enough.
I like the points. I like the points in that one, but I didn't have the cojones to call them straight up money line. That took some balls, and you got it done. Tommy down here wants to know, who would you put in your captain spot for DFS tonight? So if you were throwing together a DFS lineup and then MVP spot on FanDuel or captain spot on DraftKings for the 1.5x points.
I'm going Austin Eckler. I think just the pure volume he's been getting in the passing game. Again, Keenan Allen's not likely to play tonight, but he also, the running upside that he brings to the table here as well. Denver's defense, again, really good against the pass. They have good cornerbacks. They have a strong pass rush, but teams have been able to run on them. So I think this could be a night where Austin Eckler really finds himself in a good spot. I love one of his props tonight. I think it's 4 catches for Eckler. He hasn't had less than 4 catches in any game this season. So I'm all in on the Eckler over 4 too, if you're into that sort of thing.
Yeah, I like that one. And I think I kind of like that play. It may be a little bit chalk, right? He's the second most expensive on FanDuel, but sometimes you got to go chalk. Like if there's one guy who's going to be the top scorer, if everyone else has him and you don't, then you've automatically put yourself.
Be different elsewhere. Go play Brandon McManus and a defense, and you'll change your exposure there.
Is there any temptation just to go like full contrarian to throw Russell Wilson in that MVP spot, in that captain spot, see if he goes off tonight? This is the get right game for Russell, because I imagine not many people are throwing him up there, and he's not cheap either. Like he's priced like a quarterback. Austin Eckler's priced higher than him on FanDuel, but he's still priced like a quarterback. Any temptation, or no? You don't think he's going to get it done?
I mean, listen, we talk all the time over at Fantasy Alarm. These showdown slates are your lottery ticket, right? These aren't ones that we're telling you to go, blow your whole bankroll in on. So if you're going to go make a couple of lineups, sure, like it definitely makes sense to try to be different, because the roster consolidation on these things are so great that Russell Wilson may be 60% rostered, but he may only be 20% rostered as a captain, and therefore you get that 1.5x boost when it comes to his captain production. And if he does go off tonight and throw for 260 yards and a couple scores, and you're one of the 20% that have him in your captain spot, that can elevate you above the field. And I actually do think that they're going to be forced to throw a little bit more here. I do think that the Chargers is a game where I would expect them to have a lead. I think they're 4.5 point home favorites. I like the offense that the Chargers are putting out there right now. And if that ends up being the case and they have to play for behind, you're going to expect Wilson to throw a little bit more. So I don't mind it. Again, it's being different. I think it's a good call there.
Absolutely. Mr. Scampers in the chat saying good morning. What's up, Mr. Scampers? Welcome in. Oh, and JL, it sounds like JL has something really important to say, but I have no idea.
I was also saying,
so what do you think about that,
Mr.
John?
Scampers? And I was also saying good morning to B Kings in the chat. Says good morning, y'all. Says, what do y'all think of trading Leonard Fournette, Josh Jacobs for Stephon Diggs, DeAndre Swift, and Tony Pollard? Half PPR format. What do you think, John?
Why does everybody always have to trade stars for stars in fantasy football, right? It's like, let me trade these top 3 guys at their position for these top 5 guys at their position.
That's why you trade teams, right?
Did you say Swift was part of that deal? Did I miss
it? Yeah, Leonard Fournette, Josh Jacobs for Stephon Diggs, DeAndre Swift, and Tony Pollard.
I don't know. You're trading for a backup running back and an injured running back, so I'm probably going to go with a no. So
you're trading RB5 and RB7 away. I think just keep your team, which is good.
My rule of thumb is I will never trade for an injured player, and I will never trade for an injured Lions player, because they do not put those guys out there until they are 100%. And even then, who knows like what DeAndre Swift's volume is going to be like even once he comes back, because they don't plan on risking him any further. So, he could be a guy that only gets 15 touches a game, even when he does come back. So
I think they must still be waiting on Kerryon Johnson to get healthy, right? Or I would have seen more of him out there.
Kerryon Johnson.
They must still be waiting on his health.
Dude, what the heck happened with that guy?
I was so excited. I was so bought into Kerryon. I was so in.
That happened, dude. The Lions, and that's the thing. John's right. They have no incentive to rush guys back. Like, they may have built a winning culture, but they're just thinking really hard about winning, but not actually doing a lot of it because they're 1-4. So there's really, at this moment, there's no reason to rush DeAndre Swift back.
Yeah, so it's at the end of last season they got Swift back, and people were using him in DFS, and they weren't using him enough. They were just limiting all of his touches. You got Jamal Williams. That's where Craig Reynolds became a thing, because they were playing him over DeAndre Swift even when he came back. They have enough depth. Jamal Williams can do that dirty work while they're tanking their season, and they don't have to worry about rushing Swift. So Swift is a no-go for me.
I mean, even if I'm high on Swift, Fournette and Jacobs are just as likely to finish the season as RB1s. Like, you could have 2 RB1s on your roster. Jacobs is a true workhorse in that offense, even though people aren't viewing him like that. I think it's starting to change. People are starting to realize Jacobs has that full workload over there, but I'm keeping that side. I think you may be undervaluing Jacobs specifically in that trade.
You just see Stephon Diggs and your eyes light up. You're like, ooh, Stephon Diggs. And Jacobs is giving you 35 fantasy points in back-to-back weeks. So, like, why would you trade that?
Yeah, if you want to make this trade, just trade like Fournette for Diggs. See if they'll do that, right? That's essentially the essence of what you're trying to do here. If you need to upgrade at your wide receiver position and you have some depth behind these Jacobs and Fournette.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and maybe you need to throw another little piece in there to add Pollard, like if you want that running back depth, like if that's important to you. But Jayla, I like that move. Just see if you can get Fournette for Diggs done, and then figure it out after that. John, I wanted to ask you, we had a start, sit, cut quarterback question earlier that we had some mixed opinions on. This is for fantasy, and it was a gross one. It was Russell Wilson, Jared Goff, Jimmy Garoppolo. Start, sit, cut, rest of the season. What are you doing with those 3 guys?
I'm going to start Goff. I'm going to sit Wilson. I'm going to cut Jimmy G.
Cut Jimmy G. Sit Wilson. Sitting Wilson for the hopes that he puts it together, and you got Goff in the meantime.
And that offense in Detroit's still just going to score points, so I'll trust Goff there once they get it back and healthy.
I don't mind it. Goff has been better than expected for fantasy football this season. I mean, it makes sense. Like, whenever we look at the weapons that he has there, it's been better than expected. But do you expect Goff to? He's not going to keep this starting job going into next year. Do you think this is his job? Is there a chance that he holds on to this Detroit Lions starting job?
Moving forward, no. I think he's just a placeholder for them until they figure out what they're going to do next. Again, if they continue to tank, like, this is a class where they could go out and get a quarterback, in the top 5 and sort of build around him there. Coop's been on this, since last year with their rebuild plans. They're drafting guys. They're putting talent around this offense. And the quarterback's just sort of that last piece, and once they get that young quarterback, they'll have, the receivers with St. Brown and Williams, and they have Hawkinson and Swift, and their offensive line's actually really good, and they're getting better on defense with Akota at cornerback, and the defensive end that I'm blanking on that they drafted first overall.
Hutchinson.
Yeah, like, they're getting better where you need to get better to be a successful football team. And I actually think, like Coop says, like, they're building a winning culture there, which is actually great, because if the team is buying into what the coach is saying, eventually the talent's going to rise them above to, where they actually do start winning these football games. So obviously they're giving up a ton of points. They need more help on the defensive side of the football, but you can build that up through early draft picks and free agency. And, they have their offense, I actually think is really good.
Right.
Yeah, I'm with you completely in Pembo on that one. Like, this is how you rebuild, right? So, like, we can make fun of them all we want, but this is, like, they're doing it correctly currently. And that's, we'll look back and it'll look a lot different.
It's because of fantasy football that in our minds we think, like, the window is so short, right? You think about, like, running backs and all that, but the reality is, if you go and look at the all-pro team in any given year, the linemen on those teams are usually like 34, 35 years old. Like, Andrew Whitworth was one of the best linemen in the league at 40 years old. Like, a guy like Trent Williams at 32 years old gets an 8-year contract. So that's what you do when you rebuild, is you go and you load up in the trenches. Penei Sewell and Frank Ragnow and these guys, which they've done. And then now, you go out and get the go out and get a quarterback, and then you start going for the hired gun positions when you're really trying to compete, right? You bring in Darrelle Revis.
Right.
You get that cornerback, you get that edge rusher, you get the running backs. Like, so I love the direction they've gone in terms of starting with the long-term positions and building that part of it first. So I do like what the Lions have done, but right now they're not ready to compete.
And also, it depends on ownership too. Like, are they willing to sit through this rebuild? So many times teams will change coaches, and in 2 years, new coach. And it's like, well, you just ruined everything that guy was trying to build. You bring in a new coach, who brings in a new system. They draft the guys that fit their system, but you still have 2 years worth of players from the old system in. You give that coach 2 years, they don't win. You fire that guy, and it's like a
never-ending cycle.
It's
the Brown special.
And you see it right now. Like, so when you're trying to build this team, right? And Brad Holmes knows exactly how you do it because he was the head scout for the Rams when they did that exact thing, right? And then they brought it in. But like, you can see what John's talking about with this lineup. DeAndre Swift on this lineup, that was Matt Patricia trying to cling to his job, saying, what can I draft that will help fix things right now and keep my job? I'll draft a running back in the second round and try and keep my job with that guy. But that's not how you do a rebuild. Like, so he's kind of a misplaced asset right now, unfortunately.
Giants did the same thing.
Yeah,
Giants did the same exact thing.
Right. That's the coach and the GM saying, how do we cling to our jobs? What Band-Aid can we throw on this team? Right. And what can produce first right away? A running back can produce right away. But the reality is Swift might end up missing the window of when this team is really good. Unless they, maybe they'll sign him and keep him long term, but it's not the order you do things in.
It's also a league where, like, the running back position, again, it feels like there's a lot more talent that's being found like later in drafts. Obviously, Cooper, like, we have the experience of being recent Patriots fans where our starting running backs for the last 4 years have been like 4th round picks, right? And they go out, they run for 1,000 yards, they get 10 touchdowns, they're able to identify that talent. A lot of the first round draft picks, a lot of the early round running backs, they're fine, but it doesn't feel like they're as important as they were, in like the early 2000s, where like all the all pro guys were all, top running backs running the offense. So taking that early running back in the first round feels less and less important. It's been the receivers that have been being drafted in the first rounds that are coming out and making huge impacts right away for these teams.
Yep. Things always change in this league, but you're right. First round, picking a running back in the first round just doesn't seem like a smart thing to do anymore.
No, I'm with you guys there. I did have another question for you, John. I wanted to ask you a little bit about, while we're on the Patriots, not the running backs, but the Patriots quarterback room. Bailey Zappe's come in and looked pretty exciting out there. He's had some great starts so far. And so now the rumor mill's buzzing, people talking about the possibility that Zappe could take over as the starter for this team over Mac Jones. Do you see any truth in that statement, or do you think it's unlikely to see Zappe take over?
The one, obviously being closer to the situation here, living in Massachusetts, you listen to a lot of the beat writers, you read a lot of the articles around there, and listen to sports talk radio all day and whatnot. It feels like those who cover the team don't feel like that is a realistic outcome. They feel like this is Mac Jones' job. Mac Jones is the better talented quarterback. He has the higher ceiling, all these things. But at some point, the play on the field actually has to matter. And Bailey Zappe, through his three playing games there, the fill-in for the Green Bay, 2 starts now, has looked better on the field this year than Mac Jones had. And Mac Jones had a lot of problems during the preseason, which is pretty well documented. He was very frustrated with the offensive direction. He didn't believe really in Matt Patricia based off some of the reports that were out there and the system that they were putting in. And kind of like he was sort of, stomping his feet and throwing tantrums at times. And what did Bailey Zappe do? He learned the playbook because he was a rookie. He knew nothing else, right? So, like, he only knows the Matt Patricia offense. He only knows what the team wants to do. And he was ready to go out of the gate. And he's now won them 2 games. And really, they should have won against Green Bay. The defense kind of let them down there in overtime, gave up some big chunk plays there. So I see no real reason why this isn't a legitimate conversation. Now, the Patriots don't play till Monday. So Bill Belichick is probably not going to give you an answer on who his starting quarterback is going to be until late this week. But, Mac Jones was very close to playing last week. It's going to be a real tough competition. I think you'll get a better feel for this once they start doing the practice snaps and you get the media portion of those practices and they say, all right, Mac Jones was taking all of the first team reps. Like, all right, well, that gives you a better indication that most likely Jones is going to be the guy to go. But if they're splitting reps, if Zappe's taking those first team reps over Mac Jones, I think a real quarterback competition can be kind of brewing there. And, you know, I understand draft capital, and maybe it would look poorly if Mac Jones isn't the guy with the first, being taken 15th overall last year. But does it really matter if you took Bailey Zappi in the 4th round and he ends up being the guy to bring the Patriots back to, playoff relevancy? No, Bill Belichick doesn't care what that is. He wants the winning players on the field. So, that's kind of how I approach it. The offense has looked a lot better. Bailey Zappi, he played at the FBS level, but he set college records at the FBS level, all college records. He broke Joe Burrow's single season touchdown record. He set the all-time single season passing yardage record. So it's not like the guy can't sling it. And he's looked pretty good. Now, Cleveland gave them a lot of easy opportunities yesterday. They turned the ball over a lot. Their defense was pretty soft. The touchdown to Hunter Henry, the guy's wide open, a pass that only Justin Fields could miss. So like he looked really good in that game. So we'll see if they can continue to roll with him or if they go back to Mac. So
if you're Billy B, you're making the call for Monday. You plugging in, assuming Mac Jones is fully healthy. You plugging Zappi back in, or are you putting Jones out there on the field?
No, I'm going Zappi. You're winning games and he's playing well. Like, why would you risk stifling your offense, right? You put Mac Jones back in there, and if he struggles, you lose. Now you have to go back to like that. Only feels like that would cause further strife and everything that's going on there. Like, this is also an easy part of their schedule, right? They beat the Lions, they beat the Browns. They should. Their defense is carrying a lot of this, right? Their defense is very good right now. And Fields should not do well against this Patriots defense next week. So, this could be another game where Zappi looks good, but the defense really put them in a lot of positions to be successful. And maybe Mac would have the same success against the Lions and the Browns that Zappi has had. But right now he's winning. He threw for over 300 yards, 2 scores. He's had 100 quarterback rating in all 3 games that he's appeared in. I don't see a reason why you would go away from that. But, Belichick is certainly a man of his own ways.
Especially with an injury like a high ankle sprain that can get re-injured easily and can also have long-term issues. And there's certain players that have, like Darren McFadden struggled with it for pretty much the whole rest of his career. So
the Patriots wanted Mac to have the tightrope surgery by some reports, and he declined. He said he'll just rehab it out. So there could also be a little bit of that where the Patriots are like, well, we wanted you to come back for us. And Mac's like, well, I'm going to come back on my own terms. And Bill's like, all right, if you're not for the team, I'll take a guy that is for the team. And if you're winning with Zappi, like, again, Bill Belichick likes winning football games. So, maybe he's looking to go back to the playoffs back-to-back years with 2 rookie quarterbacks. I don't know how often that's been done, but, it's a potential there.
And Bill Belichick, like, say what you will about him, like, of all the coaches, and he's one of the few guys that's both the coach and the GM. Which that's why he's so quick to move on from guys. Like they drafted 2 running backs this year, Pierre Strong and Kevin Harris. Kevin Harris already was released. Like, and he was like a 6th-round pick. Like, he buys the groceries and cooks the dinner, which means he can make decisions all by himself. That's how you get these guys getting benched before, the game before the Super Bowl, getting released from the team.
We may never see Nelson Aguilar take the field again the way Tyquan Thornton looked yesterday. So, I think that's again, he's willing to pull the trigger on those things.
This guy traded Richard Seymour. You know what I mean? Like, he traded Chandler Jones, right? Like, he's
released Lawyer Malloy. He'll do anything he wants.
Dude, I was pissed when we released Lawyer Malloy, but like, he's not afraid. He's not afraid to do that. And he's one of the few guys that has all the power. So if he wants Zappi, that's who it's going to be.
He's not afraid. He'll take
no one to fight with. Yeah, there's no one to fight with.
Everybody. Come on, just take my hand. He'll start Zappi if you want.
Is that more George Michael, dude?
I don't even know who sings that song. I'm just trying to squeeze that in there line by line. John, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to come on and talk some Monday Night Football and some quarterbacks with us today, my man.
Yeah, guys. Anytime you want me on, just let me know. I'll be here.
Absolutely, guys. Make sure you're following John on Twitter at JMpemba777. Truly a great follow. And check him out on Sunday mornings with Coop from 9 to 11 a.m. on Sunday mornings right here on the Bettor Network.
I'll tell you what, dude. John is the man. He was in my wedding, dude. He was there on the dance floor partying up, and then he drove back and did the show in the morning. I called out of work that day because I was, I already told him I wasn't going to be on. But then after that, I was up hammered drunk playing dodgeball till like 2 a.m. So there's no chance I was going to be on. But John made it on, had a great show from 9 to 11 with our boy James Grande, who's in the chat there. So I popped in, watched a little bit. So, dude, John and Pemba doesn't get more solid. Follow him on Twitter, especially if you play fantasy basketball and things like that. He crushes football and he crushes basketball, baseball, you name it, dude. The guy is literally half man, half sports.
Half man, half sports.
There are few games that I love more than dodgeball.
It's the best, dude.
It is.
But
It is truly one of the most delightful games to play.
I was in no condition to play though, dude. Like, after
you're always in condition to play dodgeball. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care what condition you're in. You're in a condition to play dodgeball.
Dude, I had the Bud Light Storm. Like they were saying go, and I would just walk out there and just be like, bop, bop, bop. Just absolutely crushed, dude. Like it was like me playing against John Wick. Like that's how drunk I was, dude. Like it was like it wasn't happening for me, dude.
It was me drunk playing against John Wick.
I couldn't catch a dodgeball to save my life, dude. It was this ring that was weighing me down. Not used to having that. It definitely wasn't the 20.
He's like running around the feet, like running around the court with like his hand dragging. He's like, that's too heavy.
That's too heavy, dude. Just getting hit square in the face with the dodgeball. Yeah.
There was a sorority at Clemson that every year would host a big dodgeball tournament as their like philanthropy fundraiser. And I swear to God, like, yes, it was for the philanthropy and they cared, but their primary purpose of hosting it was like formal date auditions. Like all of the girls who did not have a date to formal would show up at the dodgeball tournament and look for the dude showing up. And you would see girls approaching guys as they got off the court over and over and over again, then running off to their friends. Like they changed phone numbers, and it was auditions to become a formal date. Like, how do you handle yourself out there? Are you athletic? Do you not get too mad? Like you got to be competitive, but are you showing your ass out there? Like,
I'll tell you what, dude. I would not have walked away from this dodgeball game with a date to this.
It has nothing to do with the ring on your finger.
That guy takes one step and is just lit in the face every time.
I was playing poorly and I was getting upset. Like,
Mr. Scamper's in here saying the song I was singing was Eminem. It was Eminem. Now that you say it, immediately remembering that was Eminem on that one. Took us a minute to get there.
Oh, I know what song you're singing now.
I know. But we sing it, JL. Take it away.
Come take my hand.
Yeah, that one.
Okay, Never noticed. Come take my hand.
Dude, so when
what's
funny is I would never like when Simon was saying it, no idea. The moment JL sang it, I'm like, yeah, I've heard that song. JL crushed.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. You just had to be you need to be a little more Eminem with it, bro. You got to be a little
just don't give off Eminem vibes at all.
I guess
not a single Eminem vibe.
I've been to Detroit.
Hey, I was in Detroit with you, JL.
Yeah, but you were more of a
what can I say? I've been to 8 Mile.
You're more of a Kid Rock Detroit.
No, that is the meanest thing anyone has ever said to me is to call me more.
Hit him with the Kid Rock comp.
You're more of a ball with the ball, Detroit.
With 4 minutes left in the show, he hits him with the Kid Rock comp.
The bang. Kid Rock comp.
That's just disrespectful, bro.
That is hateful.
After we do a show for 3 hours, you're gonna come in here and insult him like that.
Kid Rock.
You gotta call me Kid Rock. That's disgusting.
Kid Rock vibes.
You get to be Eminem. He has to be Kid Rock.
That's not.
Listen,
even
I
fair.
made out in this deal. I made out.
Yeah, you earned it though. You earned it.
This is like someone asking us like a trade offer, like Jonathan Taylor or Jamal Agnew. Who would you rather in fantasy football?
Agnew,
except Jamal Agnew also sucks, like
racist.
as a person, not just as a player, right?
Jamal
Like
Agnew's also super racist.
Right? Like, yeah, that's what you got going on. Would you rather have Jonathan Taylor, Jamal Agnew, and Jamal Agnew's a horrible human? That's what the question you just asked.
Culture appropriating human, yeah.
No, I will take I'll take Eminem in that one, but I can't go to. Dustin said
dibs. No takes.
Dustin said Kid Rock's first album was fire. Cowboy's my go-to karaoke song.
Of course it is.
You know what?
Of course it is.
You gotta separate the man from the art, dude. Cowboy's a banger. Ball with the ball. Fire.
Isn't that the same reasoning you gave when we were talking about Cole Beasley's rap album?
80s fire.
The same thing.
Cole Beasley, beast.
Guys, everybody, thank you so much for hanging out and talking some Kid Rock with us this morning. We will be back tomorrow morning from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern time for some more Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show. But until then, we are out of here. Make sure you're sticking around here on the Bettor Sports Network. Moose and Keith coming up next, followed by Lunch Money presented by Fantasy Guru. And then Corey, Nando, and friends are there to answer all of your toughest fantasy football questions this afternoon at 3 p.m. Eastern time. We'll be back tomorrow. Enjoy your Monday Night Football. Until then, we're out of here.
And Moose and Keith giving away a Natron Means jersey. signed Nature Means jersey after this show, right after this. So hang around for that.
Absolutely sick. We'll see you guys tomorrow.